Hello, people of the internet. I am James Phoenix, and this is another review here on the League of Opinionated Gentlemen. You're probably looking at this like, wow, this is a unique setup. Yeah, I know. With me only for right now is Melissa.
Wow.
You may remember her from a few of our previous videos on an assortment of things. I believe last year, Spring of Starkid had an appearance. And of course, what we're doing tonight, she and her husband, our other good friend Cam, were in last year's Connecticon video. And that's what we're here to do this year. This past weekend was once again Connecticon in Hartford, Connecticut, running from July 12th, technically, through July 15th. And boy, did a lot of shit happen over the weekend. Unfortunately, our schedules did not align to do this earlier in the week, or we would have. But we're just basically going to talk through the weekend and go over things that were good, things that were bad, things that were ugly, things that whatever. And at some point over the course of talking about all these things, Geoff is going to pop in and join us to hear about the tales of Connecticon, as it were. Wrong button. So we're over there, stupid computer. Come on, enter. Thank you, stupid. So yeah, basically, for those that don't know, Connecticon is a long-running, good-sized convention out of Hartford, Connecticut. They average about 12,000 people a year, give or take. It started as a much smaller convention at one of the colleges in Hartford. I don't remember which one. But it eventually, as the guys who put it together, it grew and grew. It eventually outgrew the campus on which they were hosting it. And eventually, about, 5 or 6 years ago, when Hartford built the convention center they have now, it moved there, and it's been there ever since. And so Melissa and Cam have been going longer than I have. They've been going for 5 or 6 years now, whereas this is only my third Connecticon. But it's always a lot of fun. This was the 16th Connecticon overall. In fact, I should probably get useful things to show off for the video. Did not think ahead for the con.
Yes, I was able to read the Roman numeral.
Yep. Roman numerals are good. There we go. Okay, so anyway, Connecticon 16 right here. Sticking with what they started last year is they actually have fan-made artwork for the con. They normally the artwork generally depicts the characters that are portrayed by the well-known guests that are appearing at the con. This year, of course, the Nostalgia Critic, who, after the controversy of a few months ago, people were not sure was going to attend, but he and his gang did. Though I didn't really spend a lot of time around them. My understanding is they apparently did not have a whole lot of people, although their panel got about half full, so I guess that's something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also here is a couple of people that were here voiced Care Bears. Why those are the characters chosen, I don't know, because they've done other characters. And of course, Dee Dee Magno Hall, who voices Pearl from Steven Universe, and most of the voices of a bunch of Sailor Moon and a bunch of the Sailor Scouts were there. So very cool. These collector's books are very nice. They always are. Lots of great information about all the different guests who are attending. And they always have a great variety of guests, from internet celebrities to artists to authors to people from TV and movies. So that's always really great.
Although not many big names with TV and movies this year.
Well, in all fairness,
I mean, voice acting, yes, but no, not many big name live action people, except for some Power Rangers, but I don't really know those Power Rangers.
Which we're going to have to correct.
Yeah.
We also have to figure out how we're going to get your boss to let you go, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, probably not. Oh, well. Well, that's Power Morphicon. We'll be reviewing that next month. Stay tuned. But in the meantime, this is Connecticon. And so, yeah, this was a very heavy voice acting year. They also had well-known voice actors Nolan North and Troy Baker, as well as a variety of others. John St. John was there. So they really heavily went on voice acting this year with only a couple of live-action guests. Whereas last year they did have some live-action. They had last year they did pretty well. They had a number of people from Game of Thrones were there, which was pretty cool. Again, not a fan of ours, but still enjoyable. And they did also have a couple of voice actors for Steven Universe last year. We had not yet watched the show, so we didn't enjoy that as much as we would have.
If only they were here this year with Dee Dee, then that would have been perfect.
I know, but I'm sure they varied because their schedules. They varied it up. They wanted to get somebody different this year. But if they're going to keep on that trend, maybe they'll have Steven next year.
That'd be cool.
Because Estelle, who voices Garnet, doesn't really do cons because she's kind of a hip hop R&B star, so she's not really available for cons. So maybe they'll get Steven. They could get some of the more minor ones like the voice of Lapis or some of the other not as big name gems, perhaps. But that'll be future years. Let's talk about this year. I'll give credit. The con always does have a great variety of events, and one thing I like about this con is they offer fan panels. It's not just panels are based on guests or experts. Anybody can, leading up to the con, submit a panel and host that panel if approved. They'll give it a time slot in a room, and they can run their own panel, and people can come and just hear from other fellow fans about the things that they're fans of, and that's really cool. So there are quite a few of those this year as well. The badge also has the artwork on it. It's we had an all weekend pass, of course. They always have the options all weekend or just Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, depending. So, we did, of course, stay at the Hartford Marriott, which is attached to the Connecticut Convention Center. It's very convenient. There are some other hotels around, but being that one's right there, most people try to stay at that one. And I'm going to give some credit to them in a moment, but let's go ahead and just kick things right off with Thursday, and we'll go from there. So let's see here. My long list of notes. And again, let me know if I get any of this wrong. So we started off Thursday. We got a little bit of a late start than later start than we normally do because I had to work a half a day. So I got, and then on top of that, I should note, by the way, that in addition to myself, Melissa, and Cameron, who were the only three that went the past couple of years, we were joined this year by Anastasia Laserbeam, who I think has appeared on this channel maybe once, twice, but those who are common viewers probably know her from Pez of the Mind. And so because we had to accommodate for her as well, we ran a little bit later than we intended to. But we did get on the road about 4 p.m. There was some annoying traffic on the highway that we kept running into. I'd say when we got to Hartford about 6:30 or so. Sound about right?
I think it was 6 because I remember the movies they were going to show were starting at 6:30, and I remember thinking, it starts in a half hour. So it was around 6 o'clock.
Okay, 6 o'clock. Sounds good. So yeah, about 2 hours. That's about right. So we arrived. We parked. Cameron decided to park outside instead of in the garage. I don't know why, but yeah.
I think part of the garage was coned off already.
Oh.
So I guess he found a spot outside that was easier to park at that moment.
That makes sense. And it didn't really make a difference either way. For God's sake. Hang on. Sorry, folks. Live, everybody. Anyway, so we got there. We went into the hotel and got our stuff settled in. Props to the Hartford Marriott. They are always awesome. And if you're ever in Hartford, you should stay at the Hartford Marriott. They have reasonable rates and a great staff, and they will accommodate you very well. In this case, we arrived. Sorry, what's that?
I second that.
Good. Yeah, if you need to say something, just yell over me, because Skype's because the Hangout can be annoying sometimes, and if I'm talking, it can kind of drown you out at first. So just keep talking, and eventually I'll stop.
Okay.
It's Google. What do you want? Anywho, props to them. Number one, when we originally were going, there were 4 of us going, and because we hadn't known there were going to be 4 of us at the time, because Cam always books the room and everything way in advance, we were going to end up having to try to squeeze 4 people into a single king bed room, and that was going to be very awkward. But luckily, and I had to ask Cam, I'm not exactly sure how the conversation came up because I know you stepped away and I was in the back, but somewhere along the way the discussion came up was a request of whether we wanted to upgrade to a double queen room instead of the single king room. And that was very advantageous because it gave us enough room for the 4 of us without being cramped. So that was very nice of them to offer that upgrade. I don't know if there was a cancellation or what happened there, but that worked out very well in our favor.
I want to say there was a cancellation, but I can't swear by it.
Okay. In either case, we got checked in, and that was all good. And we went up to the hotel room, and we dropped our stuff off as we usually do. And then we headed on down, and we picked up first we paid for the parking because we needed to do that. Your weekend parking pass, which is affordable, by the way. It's only, $60? That's not terrible for a whole weekend of parking.
Yep.
And then we went and picked up our badges, of course. Props over last year, they actually ordered lanyards and had them in time.
Yes, but the lanyards were awful.
Yes, I have it over here. Hang on, let me grab that. So once again,
have my lanyard.
So yeah, 2 years ago when they did this, the lanyards, much like 2 years ago, the lanyards were actually provided by the U.S. Army. They had a booth where they were trying to recruit some people to the armed forces, and so they provided the lanyards on behalf of the con. Last year, the Army was not there and did not do that, and they ended up having to order lanyards, and those lanyards arrived very late. They were not available on Thursday when we arrived last year, and they were just these crappy little yellow things, which I'm sure I have one of those somewhere too.
Well, didn't I borrow one of your yellow ones, and it actually worked a lot better than those lanyards.
Oh, you're right. I don't think you gave me the yellow one back. You probably have it, but that's fair.
Yeah, I still have it.
Okay, but anyway, these so the Army did these lanyards this year, and while the lanyard itself is not terrible, the connector here that holds it shut, kind of a piece of junk. It doesn't really hold very well. So, not the best lanyards in the world, but luckily, because I did have the foresight to bring a bunch of lanyards with me, including my Connecticon lanyard that I purchased from the swag table last year. Swag, as well as this awesome assassination classroom lanyard that was given to me by my good friend Clarissa, that she got an Anime Next, so that was cool. I loaned that to Stacy for the weekend. And then, even though it wasn't used, I did bring the Army one from 2 years ago that I still have, but that ended up not being needed.
Luckily for Cameron, his lanyard stayed on over the
week. Together, yeah.
Whereas mine kept breaking apart, and even my badge fell off the keychain at one point.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, that's because it wasn't all the way on the key ring.
That is true.
That technically wasn't the lanyard's fault.
I still felt like it was bad luck because it wouldn't stay on.
Which is understandable. So, we got our badges, and then, of course, we had a discussion as to whether we were going to go see any of these movies. Let's talk about that for a second. Connecticon did have a great event going where they actually rented out the Dunkin' Donuts park because the local baseball team was not playing that weekend, or at least that night. And so they rented the stadium out to show 3 movies, and they were a to-be-announced Studio Ghibli film, which I found out, by the way, they could not advertise the name of the film because of legal reasons. That's why they said it that way.
Oh, yeah, did we ever find out what... So we never found out what it was.
I have no idea. I'm sure I could Google it. Maybe somebody talked about it, but I don't know. But it was a Studio Ghibli film. They were not allowed to advertise it by name by the clause of being able to... The contract they signed to be able to show it, so... It was a Studio Ghibli film to be revealed. It was Spider-Man Homecoming and The Princess Bride. Not in that order. So that was pretty cool, but the problem is, because it was at the stadium, you either had to walk a ways or you had to grab the dash shuttle, and we did not feel particularly inclined to do either after all the driving, so we chose not to do that. But from what I heard, it was a pretty good event, so... Props on Connecticon for adding something on Thursday, because they normally don't have a lot going on Thursdays except badge pickup, and people normally end up kind of bored that night because the only thing open, which we'll talk about in a minute, is the game room. But at any rate, So what we did decide to do, because this was Stacy's first year at Connecticon, is we decided to show her around what we could. The convention center, other than badge pickup, is not open on the Thursday of Connecticon. So we went outside, and I'm glad this still worked out this year, because I was afraid, given that it was the second weekend and not the first, as it normally is, that there was going to be a conflict with this, but there wasn't. I don't know whether they moved both intentionally to align with each other or whether both just decided to move, but the annual Hartford Food Truck Festival, which always aligns with Connecticon weekend, did so again this year. They set up in the park that is, if you go up the stairs between the hotel and the convention center and take a left, there's a bridge that goes over the highway, and you end up in the public park, whose name I do not know off the top of my head. But
I'm gonna see if I can look it up.
okay. But yeah, the park always has a food truck festival. There's food trucks all the way lined down this park. It goes down toward the river, and then there's more food trucks down some stairs and right along the river. It's a really cool looking little park, and it's really nice that they do this food truck festival every year. And food trucks come from neighboring cities too. The New Haven pizza truck is always there. The Yellow Sub Machine comes in. They're not local either. And so they get a lot of food trucks from areas coming in for the festival, and that's pretty cool.
Mortenson Riverfront Plaza.
There we go. We definitely recommend that. It's a very nice park, and if you're in the Hartford area, especially around the Connecticon and the Food Truck Festival, you should definitely check it out.
Yes, please do that. And there's still the Connecticut Science Center nearby. You can also get frozen yogurt and Subway that are both in the Science Center. Science Center is also worth checking out, but we didn't check it out this year.
Yeah, we went to the Science Center last year. There's a lot of cool stuff in there if you like science, and if you bring your Connecticon badge, you will get a discount on admission. So
yes, they were doing that this year too.
Yeah, so definitely make sure you have that.
Even though we didn't go, I read that they were doing that again.
Yeah, so that was good. And like you said, the Subway sandwich shop and the Froyo place are both right there across the bridge in the Science Center, so they're very conveniently located at Connecticon. And I believe I think the Froyo place was offering a Connecticon discount too, weren't they?
If they were, I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah, I feel like I saw a sign that said something about like 10% off Froyo for Connecticon or something like that, but I could be wrong. At any rate.
But the Blind Pig did a discount.
Yes, we're going to get to that in a minute. Let's continue rolling on through Connecticon here. So after we showed Stacy around the food truck festival and the hotel stuff, we
lost your train of thought there?
No, I got it. I'm trying to find out if our good friend and ever-present member of the league, Tiff, would like to pop in and hear about Connecticon.
Oh, okay.
But we'll see what she says. At any rate, Cam grabbed a panini from the panini truck because he was hungry.
It's called Toasted, or Let's Get Toasted, or something like that.
Yep.
Which it's very good, by the way. I recommend it. I had some.
Yeah, they're there every year. I've heard they have good sandwiches.
And yes, it did turn out that Thursday night there was not as much of a crowd.
Yeah, we figured that on Thursday night. The only downside of Thursday night is that the food truck festival, I think, closed earlier than the other nights, or was it 8 o'clock every night?
I think it was 8 o'clock every night.
Okay, makes sense. People need to go home. They're there all day. But there's a lot of great food trucks out there, and they should definitely all be checked out. A wide variety of foods. They always have a great, all kinds of different, they had, there's some, Japanese place and a Chinese place, and there was a place serving Mexican food, and just all kinds of different foods and from different cultures. It's pretty cool. There was also a hot dog truck that was advertising hot dogs seen on Man vs. Food, so that's cool. I've seen a couple episodes of that show. I don't watch it regularly, but that's cool. Supposedly a foot-long hot dog, so must have been big. So, after we went to the food truck festival, and Cam got a sandwich because he was hungry, but the rest of us had not quite gotten to the point of being ready for dinner yet. We went back into the hotel and went to the game room, as we do, and I think it's a good choice to change up this year. For those that don't know, the board game setup and situation is primarily sponsored by Matthew Deigel, the owner of Connecticon, who owns a tabletop gaming shop in Hartford. Anybody who is a Connecticon member and brings their badge can get a 10% discount at that tabletop shop at any time, by the way. And so I would wager that his shop probably provides the games. Although, as we know, Cold Guy might have brought some too. We'll talk about his panel in a few minutes. The many panels of Cold Guy. He's a good dude. So we played something that I don't think we did it last year, but we did it, I think, the first year we were there, and that was the game of Munchkin.
Good game.
Because I don't think we played Munchkin. No, we did. No, we did play Munchkin last year. It was last year we played Munchkin. The first year we did not. That's right. I remember it was last year we played Munchkin, because that's like, I had just gotten this phone, and that's like the first picture on this phone is us playing Munchkin last year. I remember that. My phone charger is broken. I need a new charger. Or at least some tape. Well, at any rate. So we played a Munchkin. Cameron was victorious.
But it was a close game.
It was incredibly close.
But it was
a close. Stacy took an early lead, but then got knocked back. Then Melissa and I were tied in the lead at 9 for a while, and then Cameron came from behind and took the victory. If you've never played Munchkin, I highly recommend you go and pick up a copy of Munchkin. It's not expensive. It's a game that primarily uses cards and a couple of dice, and it's basically just goofy stuff of, trying to basically defeat goofy-looking monsters with power-ups like boots of butt kicking, and basically trying to have the highest score and getting to level 10 to be the winner.
You may think it looks complicated, but as someone who doesn't like to play complicated games, it's really not that complicated once you play it.
Yeah, it seems harder than it is because there's different cards. Once you realize there's only 2 kinds of cards, and basically these are cards that are creatures you might have to fight, and these are cards that either make you a different class or race, or that give you items or abilities. Then you understand that basically, you're trying to defeat the monsters. Every monster you beat, you gain a level, and you can power yourself up. People can team up with you in exchange for treasures, things like that. So it's really not nearly as hard as it sounds. And there are lots of versions of Munchkin out there. Super Munchkin, Munchkin Cthulhu, all kinds of them. So start with original Munchkin. It'll be easier on you, and then go from there.
I haven't played it yet, but we do have a version of Nightmare Before Christmas Munchkin.
Oh, I want to play that now.
Yes, it's part of our library.
Yeah. We should do, you know what? We should do a video sometime just showing off your game library, because it's kind of awesome. Make a mental note of that. We're going to do that sometime.
I'll consider it.
Okay. Anyway. So we played Munchkin. Cameron was victorious. And at that point, we decided that we were kind of ready for dinner. So we went over to what I don't think I'm being shy in saying has become our favorite eatery at Connecticon, and that is the Blind Pig Pizza Shop, directly across the street from the convention center. It's owned by the good people that run Bear Smokehouse, which is also excellent food, and they have a truck at the Food Truck Festival in addition to being located not far. And Blind Pig Pizza is excellent. It is all homemade pizza. They use all locally sourced ingredients in their pizza. They even locally source their sodas from a local soda company. And they have a lot of unique varieties of pizza. This year's specialty was a Mac Attack mac and cheese chicken pizza, which
amazing. But we didn't have that till Sunday.
No, we're going to get to that. But we opened up we sat down. Because the 3 of us that were not Cam were still not quite that hungry, we split a half pepperoni pizza because I like pepperoni. And Cam had, what was it Cam had on Friday? Was it like a buffalo pizza? What was that?
Yeah, I think it was like a barbecue pork pizza.
Okay.
Because I remember they gave him the choice, barbecue or buffalo, and he said barbecue. Or no, was it? Yeah, I think that's what it was.
That's right. Yes, you're right. I remember that. And he said barbecue. You're right. Okay.
Or actually, was that the Mac Attack? Now I'm confused.
I
remember Anastasia tried a slice. Maybe his was a little bit of buffalo, but it wasn't that spicy, even though it was spicy for her. And when I tried it, I said, well, actually, that's not that spicy. As someone who does not like spicy. But I said to her, but I get why you don't like it. I can, sense the slight kick.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good.
But yes, but if you're even if it's not Connecticut, if you're in Hartford and you're in the area of the convention center, Blind Pig Pizza is literally right up the street. If you were to exit the convention center parking lot and go to the road closest directly across the street, it's right there on the left. You can't miss it. Go get yourself some pizza. It's worth it.
Blind Pig was offering 10% discount to Connecticon attendees over the weekend as well.
Although if you show up on Sunday afternoon, you're going to have to remind them of that fact, but we'll get there.
See, I don't know if they were paying attention to our badges, even though it was obvious we were all wearing something. But
well, we'll talk about that when we get to Sunday. So we got some Blind Pig Pizza. We enjoyed Blind Pig Pizza. We had ourselves. Cameron enjoyed a birch beer, which is a specialty soda that they serve there. It's quite good.
It is pretty good.
It's a good birch beer. So get a birch beer. It's not actual beer. It's a soda, so it's not alcoholic. Don't worry.
It tastes more like root beer.
It does. Although I will say they do have a bar there and a great selection of booze on tap. If you are a drinker, you will find something to like there. So definitely worth checking out. All the pizzas are fire oven baked. They had the pizza oven right there. It's a great little pizza shop. You can find them all over social media. It's the Blind Pig in Hartford, Connecticut. So after we had our Blind Pig dinner, we again decided not to go see any of the movies. And so we shuffled ourselves back up to our hotel room, which I will add, by the way, at a point here that since we were there last year, the Hartford Marriott upgraded their room keys.
Yes, they did.
And rather than being formerly, if you can picture this as being an oversized room key for a moment, formerly it was kind of room keys where you had to stick it into a slot, the light turned green, and then you turn the handle to open the door. Well, they've changed that and gone with more of an RFID type system where you just have to take the card and kind of like a fast pass at the gas station if you have those in your area. You go, whoop, and it just detects the signal from the card. The light goes green and you open the door. So it's a little frustrating a couple of times, but very modern. And the same swipe policy applies to use the buttons in the elevator as well. You swipe the card, you can hit the elevator button. So that's pretty cool. I will say, guys, you have button panels on both sides. A card swiper on both sides would be a good idea. Just saying. But anyway, that was cool. They upgraded the tech there. We went back to the room, and we set ourselves up for my suggestion of we need to have something to watch, because we are trying to get them in gear for next year's Year of Star Kid. Did I tell you guys about the Year of Star Kid, by the way? I feel like I planned that and didn't tell you.
To us?
Yeah, you guys.
I think you said a little something.
Yeah. For those that don't know, because next year is the 10th anniversary of a Very Potter musical, and therefore Star Kid as a whole, Geoff and I have decided we're going to do a Year of Star Kid, and we're going to review one Star Kid musical each month. And so as of the next musical that's coming out that will be in time for that, that's in October, I released on YouTube in December, The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals will conveniently also be their 10th musical. So we will do 10 months of the actual musicals. 1 month we will talk about some of their side things, the two tour shows. We'll talk about Little White Lie, the web series. We'll talk a little bit about, because we already reviewed it, we'll touch on Halpert Evans and movies, musicals, and me. Basically all the random side stuff that Star Kid has done. And we will, of course, spend 1 month discussing, after you guys catch up and get to see it, we will do the Very Potter, Very Star Kid reunion that was held last year at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, where most of the Star Kids met and got their start. So we're going to cover all Star Kid shit next year in honor of the Year of Star Kid, which is why I'm trying to get you guys caught up on everything before that. But we did finish this night out by watching the first act of the original A Very Potter musical. Unfortunately, because of how they did it 10 years ago, the audio is still crap. I mean, no offense to the performers, but they were running with boom mics. They did not buy a mic setup until they got to Starship. So it's enjoyable, but don't expect the perfect quality. So we watched Act 1 of that. We enjoyed some snacks. Per the usual, I brought cookies and candy for everybody because the dollar store has decided because the dollar store here has decided to stop carrying my favorite tiny bottles of Hawaiian Punch. I just brought a package of Lipton tea with me instead. And so that worked out because Stacy had some of those too. So we enjoyed snacks and we watched The Potter and we went to bed. Another shout out to Hartford Marriott. We called the front desk because we realized that none of us thought to bring an HDMI cable to hook my laptop into the smart TV. I didn't bring one last year, but Cameron did, and so I didn't think about it, and Cameron didn't bring it this year. So we called the front desk, and they said that the room was already locked, and they might not have one for tonight, but to try with them tomorrow. But then a little while later, after I had hooked up a VGA, and we were just going to run the audio through the computer speakers, a guy knocked on the door and had apparently been very nice enough to locate us at HDMI, saying that they didn't normally loan those out, but they didn't want us to be without. That was really nice of them.
Yes, it was.
So thank you very much, Hartford Marriott, guy who found us an HDMI cable, whoever you are. We really appreciate that. And the Marriott in general. That's the kind of accommodation they give you at a Marriott. That's why I always prefer to try to stay at a Marriott whenever I go places when possible. Marriotts are great.
Yes.
So that was Thursday. The other thing we will add, I will add real quickly for Thursday night, is that Stacy, for those of you that don't know, is an avid swimmer. That's her primary, her favorite exercise. And she was going to go up to the pool only to find out it closed at 10:30, and she was very unhappy about that. So she ended up not being able to swim, and she talked some crap to the front desk guy about it.
Yeah.
That's who she is. She does not have a filter. All right. So that was the end of Thursday. We went to bed. It was all good. So we got up Friday morning, and interestingly, I noted here, we maintained an unintentional tradition from last year. I don't know if you picked up on this. We got up on Friday morning. We went and had a nice breakfast in the Vivo restaurant. I never seen it oversleep on Saturday and not eat breakfast. It's 2 years running. And for the second time,
I'm not really a breakfast person.
I'm honestly not really either. But like I said, that's why I'll be honest. When I get up in the morning, I either have like a mug of cereal or I have a Pop-Tart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat a big breakfast because generally I'm not hungry within the first few hours of waking up. I have to be moving for a few hours before my appetite kicks in. So I firmly agree with you. But given that we did wake up early enough on that morning, and given that it was a delicious pancake breakfast, which I always like pancakes, it's a nice treat once in a while. And for the second year in a row, we ended up in the Vivo restaurant while one of the guests was there. In this case, it was Christopher Kamen Lee, the Red Ranger, whom Stacy tried to call out in front of me and be like, hey, this dude's a fan of you, but he walked out and didn't hear her, luckily.
But no, she thought it was another guy.
You know, she saw some other dude in a red shirt that was there. I was like, no, it's not that dude. It's the dude that left.
Whoops.
But, oh, well. But anyway, so we enjoyed our delicious Vivo breakfast. We all had pancakes. Stacy had strawberries inside of hers, which was a tasty idea. Cameron joined us a little bit later, and he had himself a salmon and lox bagel, a little cream cheese, which looked pretty good. I was intending to have a bagel like that on Saturday morning until we found out we weren't going to have breakfast. So, I mean, not with a salmon and lox, just I was going to have a bagel with butter and maybe some jelly. I'm not big on salmon and lox, but neither here nor there. Great breakfast, and then we headed to the first panel of Friday, as we actually get into actual Connecticon events. How long into the video? God, I need to learn how to shut up. Anyway, so we spent the first day, because we reviewed the panel schedule. Connecticon runs their panel schedule off of the Gather app, which is over there. Whoa, that's bright as hell. The Gather app, which is a pretty good app. It crashes sometimes, but it's a pretty good organizational app. You can track all the events. You can add them to a personal schedule. You can search by a particular guest or type of event. You can limit it to just photo shoots. It's really not bad. It's pretty well run, I'll admit. When they bother to update it, but we'll get to that in a minute. But overall, good app. So we decided for the beginning of Friday, we parked ourselves in the Unicorn Room, which the rooms at Connecticon are all named after mythical creatures because that's just clever, and I like that they do that. I think it makes it easier to remember the rooms. Just, it's CR15 or whatever the hell the normal numbers are, so it's much easier to do that. But they do have in the Marriott for the rooms where they do cosplay things, they have Banshee, Wraith, and Zombie, as well as Hydra Room, which is the main gaming ballroom. And also Owlbear and Kobold in the back where they do the cosplay stuff. And then in the main Connecticut Convention Center, on the left side, generally the larger rooms, Dragon and Kraken, along with Goliath. And the right side includes the smaller rooms, Boggart and Mech, a slightly larger room in Phoenix, and the small Salamander and Unicorn rooms at the end. Plus, they do have the Neko room, which is the kids' room, which is especially for kids. They can meet some people in cosplay that are just like heroes and stuff. They get to do a lot of fun activities. If you have a young child and you want to go to Connecticon, bring your kid. It's a great experience. There's plenty of panels and things that they'll enjoy, and they have that kids' room and you can go to in between and do cool stuff. Worthwhile. Another change this year that I'll mention here as we go into this, they moved the karaoke stage. The karaoke stage was formerly located on the right. If you're facing the convention center from just inside the main doors that come off the stairs between it and the hotel, then the karaoke used to be on the right side landing because there are sets of two escalators, one that takes you up midway and then the one that takes you up the rest of the way. And that midway point used to have the karaoke, and a lot of people complained about the karaoke being in the main room. They felt that it was very loud and very distracting to people who were just trying to have conversations and hang out in the main room, and they did not like that. So this year they took the karaoke and they moved it all the way down on the right-hand side past Unicorn Room to the end of that hallway that just kind of ends in a dead end. And they held the karaoke down there. Personally, I think that was a good option. I think it worked well. The one downside was any panels that were basically in like Unicorn, Salamander, or Phoenix had to deal with the sound of karaoke outside. But as long as the doors were kept closed, it was not super intrusive. What do you think?
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of the people doing the panels were not very happy that karaoke was there. But yes, if you close the door, you can't really hear it as much. Although you could still hear it a little bit.
Yeah. The problem was that some of the people, because the people are constantly coming in and out, if they didn't pull the doors closed behind them, because not all the doors close all the way, then you were still hearing it, people were having to get up and close doors, and it was kind of annoying. But what you going to do? So the first three panels that we attended took place in the Unicorn Room, and they were all back-to-back panels being run by a wonderful dude by the name of Patrick Burdoon, also known as Cold Guy. Here's something I don't know if you know about Cold Guy, because I didn't mention it over the weekend. You don't know a fun fact about Cold Guy?
What's that?
Cold Guy was on Channel Awesome.
Really?
Cold Guy was one of the co-hosts of their top podcast, Transmission Awesome, for several years.
Huh.
It was Cold Guy. It was oh shoot, Cold Guy. And the other dude that used I mean, there are a couple of people that came in and out, but it was mostly Cold Guy and shit. What's that other dude's name? Fuck.
We'll call him that dude for now.
No, what the hell was it? Shit. Now this is gonna kill me. Oh, damn it. Oh, this is going to hurt me now. What the hell? Oh, he was a good dude, too. What the hell was his name? Damn it. It's going to bother me now. Hang on. It's going to bother me. I'm trying to remember, because there were like 2 or 3 of them that regularly ran Transmission Awesome. You can actually see them in the Channel Awesome first anniversary video, the Channel Awesome Brawl. However, after recent behavior, I do not encourage people to watch Channel Awesome until they get their act together. But neither here nor there. Let's see. Transmission Awesome. What was it? Rollo T. There we go. Rollo T, the Y Ruler of Time was frequently in those. Pushing Up Roses and Paul Dugan did some of those as well. So the Angry Joe, Dr. Gonzo, Sean Faust, a bunch of them were on at a time. Even Mike Michaud himself was part of that group at one point in time. But no, Cold Guy was well known as trying to do for Transmission Awesome stuff back on their channel at the time, and a few other little things here and there. So he's a good dude. And I felt bad because he mentioned that because of a couple of cancellations, he had 11 panels to do over the course of the weekend.
Yes, although I thought I heard some might have been canceled, but...
Yeah, which I guess that's good. That at least gives him a break. Although with their community cancellations, I'm now thoroughly regretting not submitting a panel. I think I'm definitely going to have to submit at least one panel next year, and I might submit two. Because I was going to do a 20th anniversary of Power Rangers panel, and then they were like, well, we're bringing Rangers. I'm like, oh, well, there's already a Ranger thing. And to be honest, with how many people showed up to see the Ranger panel, I feel like mine would not have gotten a big response anyway. Because really, that room was not that full.
No.
Well, related note, if you would like to see us at the Power Rangers panel or at the NerdFit Game Theater 3000 from Sunday, you can find those on Connecticon's YouTube channel. We're right dead center in the video because it was basically only seeing the front row and us plus the performers.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to. I mean, I took a look, but I didn't get a chance to actually watch any of the videos yet.
Yeah, well, we are there, loud and clear. You won't want to wear headphones. The audio is kind of crap, but you can hear it, and we are there, and it's kind of cool. So, Cold Guy did a number of panels. His first panel of the day was a great presentation called How to Become a Board Game Librarian. The audience does not know. I am a librarian. Melissa is in school to be a librarian. This appealed to us. It was not directly aimed at that exactly, but more of how to formulate a board game collection and then loan that board game collection to people for use, which was still very informative because a lot of libraries are beginning to loan board game collections out. So we could certainly adapt some of that for our use if we found there was an audience for board games at any of our given libraries. And if said libraries had space to actually host said collection. But lots of good stuff learned there about, okay, these are the types of games you should get, classics versus this, versus, how many of different expansions. If you're buying Settlers of Catan, you only need one expansion because people only play one. And basically how to buy extra sets of pieces and things that go missing from games, how to store your games so they don't get damaged, how to transport your games and get booked at events like Connecticon where you can loan them your game collection and make money off of that and do cool things of that. And really just all kind of informative stuff about game collections. And it was really a really good panel.
Yes, I found it very informative myself. Gave good ideas for our future new library.
Yeah. Although the one thing I will say, Cold Guy, if you happen to be watching this, unlikely. For that particular panel, and only that one, because it was an informative panel and did have a lot of detail, a handout would have been helpful. Even if it was just a simple handout, even if it was just, here's a handout that has all my slides on it in short form, like 6 on a page. At least we could have gotten, because I feel like there was a lot of information to digest, and while it was certainly informative, having a handout with detail on it, I think would have just added a level. If people were legitimately that interested in pursuing this kind of a thing, I think that might have been helpful. Just a thought. So that was a fun panel. We then took a short break after this panel. There's about a half an hour between panels, so it was nice we could take a break. And we went, if I recall correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Alyssa, I believe at this point we went down to the dealer's room.
Yes, we did.
And we walked around the dealer's room and checked everything out. We found out the channel also had been stuck in a far corner. The opposite corner, up at the other end of the wall they had been on last time, interestingly. And we were also surprised to find that the signing guests were not in the main dealer's room this year along the back wall as they normally are. They were actually relocated to the side B of the dealer's room, which is where all the gaming stuff is going on. I 100% support this decision.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more room.
Yeah, the problem they ran into last year, especially with some of the larger guests, like not even last year, even that, but even in years before. But when they had guests like Tom Kenny and John Rhys-Davies and people like this, the lines were massive. And because they needed to keep an aisle clear for people to walk around in that dealer's room, they laid tape down to create a zigzagging lineup, but there was a limit to what they could do. And it was really kind of frustrating. And they kept having to put overrun lines around the corner by the bathrooms. And that frustrated a lot of people. So I think it was a good idea.
You talking about from previous years?
Yeah.
Yeah, from previous years. Yeah, that was annoying.
Yeah. So I like that this year they went out of their way to move it to the B side where there's a ton more space and they could have the full lines right there and have them be much wider and much longer so that more people could be in line and not be blocking the ability of everybody to walk around. So that was very good. So they had all the guests lined up on the one wall, so they were easy to find, easy to line up for. It was just a much better structure, and I give them credit on that structure. So they improved their overall setup and structure. Moved the karaoke, fixed this. They improved the layout and use of geography in the convention center. If they could now only improve their ability to manage logistics, the con might be good. No, we'll talk about that in a minute. So we walked around the dealer's room. I don't think we did anything in the dealer's room. I think we just walked around it, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, because we had to get to the next panel.
Right, so we went back up to the unicorn room thereafter. And the next panel was again with Cold Guy, teaching the incomplete history of nerd music. Very cool. He basically talked about how nerd music kind of started off with satire back in the 1940s and has greatly evolved over the last 70 or so years. Closing in on 80 years. And how different waves of nerd music changed the genre as time went on, starting with the earliest in the 1940s to coming into the 1960s and seeing more outright parody albums, to getting into the 80s on the Dr. Demento show, 70s, 80s with Dr. Demento and Weird Al, and kind of evolving to modern day. Video game music taking a big part of that as that kicked in, talking about how video game music has sort of dominated Japan and then kind of moved to the rest of the world from there. So just a really, really cool and informative panel about all different kinds of nerd music. And he played a lot of samples of a lot of it, too. So that was really enjoyable.
Yes. I enjoyed the music.
I feel like the amount of talking is very imbalanced here.
Yes. That's right. You're doing a good job.
Thank you. Hopefully, if I know Geoff's schedule, he'll be here in the next 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll have another voice to chime in. But let us roll on. So after this, we then went downstairs again after this panel, because again, there was a half an hour break. And this time we went downstairs, and again, if I'm recalling the series of events correctly, we went downstairs with the intent of getting our 18+ bracelets because we were planning on attending NerdFit's 18+ fanfiction panel later in the afternoon. And so we went and got our 18+ bracelets, which they did not have. They got the lanyards, but apparently couldn't be bothered to order the bracelets on time this time. Can we not just order everything on time? Is that not a thing? They were using prop bracelets and writing 18+ on them with a marker. So we got the 18+ bracelets. And we also got ice cream. I think this is when we got ice cream.
Yes.
And so the ice cream was very enjoyable. Even if it was only soft serve and only vanilla chocolate or twist. And they had some basic sodas, but still a good ice cream cone. You know, I mean, $3 is what you're pretty much going to pay for an ice cream cone anywhere. So that's not really overpriced, unlike most of the shit in the convention center. So that's good. Tasty ice cream. So we ate our ice cream, we finished our ice cream, and we headed back upstairs. Again, back to the unicorn room for the third time. And I think the final time this weekend, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think that was the final time.
And the next event, again being run by Cold Guy, who had not yet left the room, and was kind of entertaining with FMVs in between. And I'm gonna let you talk mostly about this one because you participated. I didn't.
Okay, so what was the name of the actual panel? I can't remember, but I know it had. Was it Action Castle? Action
Castle. Yes, that was the name of the panel.
Directions are north, south, east, or west. No, I'll get to that. So basically, because I had never heard this before, never heard of this, and I didn't know what.
Neither had I.
I didn't know what I was stepping into. But eventually, what it is you're kind of creating a game. I guess you can how would you word it?
Yeah, it's sort of a
live action video game.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's a live action. I'm clicked on you and not seeing me as I'm talking. It's basically a live action video game. It's effectively set up in such a way that basically people are going around in a line, and I'm actually gonna I don't know if you noticed, I have video of that.
Yeah, I saw you taking video.
I took a video of that. I'm going to post that to this channel when I get around to it. So there will be a video of this action castle. If you don't understand the concept, you can actually watch it firsthand. But basically, a group of people form a line, and the host, in this case, Cold Guy, acts as the game. And basically, you have to speak the correct commands to him to trigger actions in the game. For example, okay, you are in a cottage. There is a fishing rod, and you can say certain things, and each person could say one thing. So somebody might say, grab fishing rod. You picked up a fishing rod. You now have.
And directions are east, south, north, or west. Or, well, if you're in the cottage, directions are south.
Yeah.
The exit. So the next person will say, go south. You are going south. Now you have crossed the bridge. Directions are east or west or something like that. I know that's not the right order, but it's something along those lines.
Yeah, and basically you have to get the right commands to trigger actions in the game and to figure out what's going on and how to solve the game. And it was really because each person could only give one command, so the whole group line of people, which was not everybody in the room, but a lot of them, had to work together to figure out what was going on, to chain their commands to make progress.
Some people that probably didn't get it right away would say a command like, say hello. And then the Cold Guy would be like, I don't understand, say.
Yeah.
Like, as if that didn't work in the game.
Yeah, so you'd have to figure out which commands were acceptable for the game and which commands were not. And that's pretty cool. There was also, which was really neat once somebody figured it out, is that the game had saves. You could save up to 3 times and restart from that point of the game. But it wasn't until after 2 that he bothered to tell anybody there was a limit of 3. So people might have better used those. I will say the group did complete the game with about 70 seconds to spare. But that I guess I'll post the video. But that did look like a lot of fun. I don't know if I would have been there to do it, but everybody sitting down was yelling at the line what to do anyway. So we were all really a part of it anyway.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was definitely an enjoyable panel. Once you get the hang of it, I was like, oh yeah, I get what they're doing. So
yeah. Melissa and Stacy got in the line right away, and Cameron did jump up and get in the line once.
Yeah, he goes, I participated. I was like, oh, we should do it some more. But no, it was good.
Yeah, and from what Cole Guy mentioned, you can actually buy the script for that game online. It's available. And it can be much more intricately involved, and there's a lot of different ones. So you can actually get pre-made scripts that tell you, okay, these are the commands available, these are the things to be done, and basically the audience has to figure out what they are, and you have it in front of you to know what you're doing. So you can get these online, apparently, so that's cool.
That'd be a good library program. Maybe.
Ooh. Yeah, it would. Mental note. I'm going to look that up later. That's a good call. All right. Well, that's fun. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's roll along. So we finished up this panel, which was great. There was, like I said, a lot of activities. We're collecting a few items. There was a troll and a bridge, and there was a castle and a princess and a ghost and all kinds of fun stuff like that. Also, again, I don't want to judge people, but what was with that one girl that kept trying to get the protagonist to strip?
I don't know, and I kind of blocked her out.
That was, like, weird.
Yeah.
Like, remove clothes. Like, no, why are you doing that?
I don't recognize remove.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway. I didn't get this part because I only started recording right after this part happened because I realized this is hilarious and I wanted to get you guys doing it. But I did like how somebody just jumped out of a tree.
Yeah.
You have climbed a tall tree. Leave tree.
Oh, well, yeah.
Thank you for playing Action Castle.
Yeah, there were times where if that happened, that would count as a game over. Do you want to start over? And then the next person in line will say, start new game.
Yeah. Or if you had used the save slots, you could say load save 1, load save 2, and he would go back to the point of the game where you were at, and you would have the items you collected and be at the point that you were at the save, and he would continue from there. So that was cool.
And of course, once they got the game and you start a new game or reloaded, they're like, oh yeah, do this, do that. Sometimes the line moved fast because everyone knew what the next command was. Yeah,
because they figured out something. Okay, pick up the fishing rod, get a fish, give the troll a fish, take a branch, use it to hit a guard, whatever. So they put together a lot of the action so that of what to do, so they could go fast because they knew, okay, we got to get back up to where we were, and then we can figure out what to do next. So that's cool. All right. So that was really fun. So we left this panel, and after this panel, I know that we separated at this point. If I recall correctly, we separated at this point because Cameron wanted lunch.
Yes. Yeah, that's when we went to the bistro, which is across the street, but next to Blind Pig.
Yes, that's the Front Street Bistro, actually contained within and as a part of the Spotlight Theater, right on Front Street. Also great food. They have a special Connecticon menu that they bust out every year. A lot of great different things. They got little slider burgers. They got chicken fingers. They got all kinds of good stuff over there.
We didn't have a special menu, but I thought I saw another table might have. But
yeah, they have a Connecticon menu. I remember that from previous years.
But I don't know if, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if our waitress was, I don't know if she wasn't aware of it or didn't, or just picked the regular menu. I don't know, but
it happens.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's great food, and it's right nearby, and it's very affordable. And they do have a bar if you want to have a drink with your lunch. So that's just right. What's great about Connecticon is because of its location, there's a ton of different food options all around. There's the food truck festival, the Subway. There's the cafe that's actually in the convention center dealer's room itself. There is a couple of Starbucks around. There's the restaurant in the Hotel Vivo. There's Blind Pig. There's Front Street Bistro. There's another fancy restaurant right there. I don't know the name of it. There's Ted's Buffalo Grill right up the street. Among a myriad of other things, there's an Arby's not far away. So there's a lot of food options around, which is really great.
Yes.
So definitely check those out. Anyway, yeah, so they went to the bistro and they had lunch, and Stacy and I, deciding that we wanted to go to the panel, went to the Nerd Fit. What did they call this? I want to get the name on this right. Did I write it down? Nerd Fit: The Horrors of Fan Fiction, subtitle redacted, 18 plus. Oh dear God. I'm gonna give. I don't know about Cam. I'm not gonna speak for Cam, but I think you made the right decision not being there.
Okay.
Because wow, basically they just read absolutely horrible fan fictions. That was the panel. I mean, they started off talking. I mean, it was funny because they literally put up a disclaimer at the beginning of the panel, after they, figured out how the fuck to fix the resolution on the damn laptop so we could see things. Yeah, projectors and resolutions were acting up in panels this year. A little bit of tech issues. But they only had a disclaimer opening this panel that basically said, disclaimer. I don't remember the exact wording, but it was basically, disclaimer, this is a Nerd Fit 18 and up panel. Be aware, if you are offended by pretty much anything, you probably shouldn't be here. We're being very serious about this. If you are squeamish or easily offended by really dark shit, you should probably not sit through this panel. But of course they threw a joke because at the very end in the fine print it got to the point of you will you will indemnify Nerd Fit to all whatever up to the point after the sentence. Okay, you get it, you fucks. We warned you. Now we're going into this. Something like that. But they had a little fun thing at the bottom, and they read horrible fan fiction. That was what they did. There were 3 fan fictions, if my memory serves. What was the first? The first fan fiction was I don't know how much detail you want me to go into here.
You don't have to, and I don't know how much longer I could stay up anyway, so you can cut this out.
Yeah, I will just say there were 3 horrible fan fictions. The first one featured a couple of apparently somewhat generic anime characters, and it was a vor fanfic. If you know what that is, okay. If you don't, I'm not going to explain it. The second fan fiction was involved Cloud and Tifa from Final Fantasy. It involved some nasty activities in a bathroom. And the final one that they read the most of, in fact, more than they were supposed to, because they're saving the rest of it for next year, is apparently a legendary fan fiction featuring the characters from the show Gravity Falls. It is one of the worst, most disgusting things you will ever read. I'm not even going to talk about what happens in it because it started at one spot. I thought it was going to, and then it went so much further. Like they were keeping count from the desk at the front as they started going through this. Like 16 people walked out.
Mm.
It was bad. Like, oh my God, bad.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
It was bad. A really entertaining panel if you have the stomach for that. And if you can tolerate that chicken. It was fucking hysterical because they were making Eric read it all, which was just so funny. But yeah, it was bad. Oof. And they're gonna have one next year because they're gonna finish that story. And oh God, I almost don't want to know where it goes from where they left off.
Mm.
All right, let's move on to less horrible things. All right, so you're gonna have to help me remember what happened after this.
What happened after this was that we met up with you guys to get in line to meet Dee Dee Magnum Hall.
Well, not quite, because I do know at this point that Stacy and I went and got food first.
Oh, okay, well.
Because we went over to the cafe in the dealer's room, and I got a hot dog and some fries, and she got herself a salad, I believe. And so we ate some lunch. Cafe, I know you're in a convention center. FYI to anybody who's at Connecticon, if you're going to eat at the cafe, the food is actually pretty good, but it's a little overpriced, so just be aware of that. It's a con. You kind of have to expect that, but just be aware, depending on what you're going to get, you're going to pay like $6 or $7 for an entree, and you're going to have to spend an extra $3 or $4 if you want fries. Like, I got a hot dog and fries, and it was like $10, which not most unreasonable in the world, but still a little bit overpriced. So just be aware of that.
$7 for a hot dog.
Yeah, I think the hot dog was $4 or $5. The chicken tenders I got the second day were like $7.
Mm.
But the food is pretty good, and they really don't. They move the lines along very quickly, so that helps. And they have a wide variety of food. They got burgers, hot dogs, they got pizza, chicken, nachos. They'll make you a chicken salad. They do have a gluten-free option, which is nice. So they do have some stuff there. So definitely a good wide variety of food for the people attending. So I will give them credit on that. The food was good, and they moved service quickly. All right. So after this, yeah, at some point we reconvened with them. I don't remember the exact details of our reconnoitering. But we did reconnoiter in the dealer's room, sort of, well, the B side, and we ended up going to get one of the guests was Dee Dee Magnum Hall, who voices Pearl on the hit show Steven Universe. Related note: we should review Steven Universe.
That'd be a good idea.
We'll do that later. We'll talk about it. We'll do a video talking about it. Related note, the Steven Universe, what was it, Gay Gems Rock? Is that what they called it? Something like that?
Oh, something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, that panel's on the YouTube channel also. Gay Space Rocks. That's it. Gay Space Rocks. That panel's on their YouTube also. Feel free to check that out. If you want to see great panels at Connecticon, check their YouTube channel. They don't have all of them, but they have a whole bunch, a random assortment of panels. Also on there, if you're going to go to, oh my God, well, you know what? I'm going to wait. We're going to talk about that later. We're going to get to that. But in the meantime, so we went to get in line for Dee Dee Magnum Hall's autograph. I will note that this was in the neighborhood of about 4:30 in the afternoon, maybe 5.
No, it was 4:30 because her
right. Yes,
it was supposed to be 4:30 to 5:45.
Right. So we got in line, and they had the line, and she wasn't there, and she wasn't there, and she wasn't there, and finally upon speaking. And upon speaking to some of the con staff, the story that I have heard is that we all firsthand experience this. Dee Dee Magnum Hall is one of the nicest people you will ever meet, and she loves her fans. She takes pictures of every cosplay. She hugs people. She's taking photos. She's signing stuff. She's doing everything. She's great, and she's reasonably affordable, and that's good too. $40 combo gets you an autograph and a picture. And one of the pictures that she had was actually a picture drawn by her son of Pearl, which was really cool. That you could get autographed. That was the one with the pink background, which is very cool. Let me just see if I can do this real fast. Let me see if I can hit this. Turn this down a little bit so you can see the phone. And there is me and Dee Dee Magno Hall. Very cool. So, we met her, and we went in the line for her, and basically the story we heard was that she went way over on her earlier signing earlier in the afternoon, which was scheduled 2 to 3. And because she went way over on the signing, I originally heard she went an hour and a half over. I don't think that's possible. Or she would have run into this signing. So I'm thinking that it was more like she did a total of an hour and a half when it was only supposed to be an hour. But I'm not positive.
Although I thought it was earlier. I thought it was like maybe a no, like a.
No, I checked it on the schedule. It was a 2 to 3.
Oh, okay.
It's on the schedule. I double checked it.
It was she went over.
She went over, and therefore went into what was supposed to be her lunch break, and so had to take her lunch break late, and so was 35 minutes late getting back for the second signing. Wouldn't have been a big deal if she'd have stayed late to finish that, but she couldn't because she was scheduled on the Women of Voice Acting panel at 6 o'clock, and so could not stay past 5:45. So unfortunately, because she got there 35 minutes late, she ended up only having 30 minutes to sign for the line, and because being herself, she did go out of the way to spend a lot of time talking to each person. She only got halfway through the line that had already been cut off before she got there. So unfortunately, that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And we kind of started walking away, figuring, okay, we're going to have to come back and see her, and being very annoyed when Stacy decided that was not a valid option and proceeded to start yelling at the dude. The con dude who was the handler for Dee Dee Magno Hall. Here's something that's throwing me off. You were at the Pearl panel on Sunday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we all were. Now, I'm trying to put this two together in my head. On Friday, when all this went down, was that Andy she was yelling at?
Yes.
That sucks. Andy was awesome.
Yeah, Andy was very cool. Now
I feel bad that she yelled at him. I was mad at him on Friday, but then I found that he was cool, and I'm like, now I have mixed feelings.
Well, I'll get to that when the time comes. Well, okay, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going.
Okay.
So anyway,
you keep going for a second. I'm gonna focus on you. I need to run and get a bottle of water while you're going. I can still hear you, so just keep going.
Okay. So to sum it up, the line ends up getting cut off at Stacy. So Cameron, me, and Baron were out of luck, which my husband was, we were all kind of annoyed, but we were like, well, we probably should have come back. So at this point, Baron and Stacy go to a couple panels, and Cameron and I were kind of tired, so we decided to go back to the room for a little while and just rest. Because we were standing in line for quite a while. Our feet hurt. We wanted to rest. So after a while, Cameron decides, let's go back and try to get her autograph. So
This was at 7 o'clock. She went back to signing after the Women of Voice Acting panel.
It was like 7:20 that Cameron's like, you know what, let's just go back to try to get her autograph. And I was like, oh, well, we'll see how long the line is, even though it was Friday night. But you never know. The lines could still be long, and who knows. So anyway, so we get back to the dealer's room, and the line she has a line, but it's not as long. And I look at the time, and it said that she was supposed to be there until 8:30. So I was like, oh, okay, we probably should be able to, have some time to meet her. And we get toward her table, and Andy recognized us and was like, oh, you guys came back. It was very nice. And we said, yes, we did come back. And we ended up, I don't know if you can, is that, I don't know if that's too bright. Can you see it at all? Is that too bright?
Can you turn the brightness down a little bit? If you pull down from the top and turn the brightness down, it becomes more visible on camera.
Yeah, let's try this.
Do that? Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Let me focus on you. There we go. Nice.
And she was very nice. She was saying how she's a singer, and we were talking about, because my husband and I are also singers. We sing with the local choral group, but we have sung at Carnegie Hall, and we even just came back from Paris, which we were telling her about that. She sounded very impressed.
Indeed. Did you tell her to go check out your performance on YouTube?
No, we didn't. But I mean,
related note to the audience watching here: if you want to see Melissa and Cameron perform at a cathedral in Paris, the video is on YouTube.
There are 2 videos under Mid-America Productions. It's For a Requiem in D minor, Paris, June 12th, 2018. And the second video is the Gounod, G-O-U-N-O-D, Requiem, June 12th, 2018. Cameron and I are both in there. You might not spot us right away, but we are there if you get our faces and look carefully. So.
Cameron's in the back, Melissa's on the left.
Yes. So we ended up getting her autograph, and then we went back to the room. But I mentioned that you and Stacy went off to 1 or 2 panels, which I didn't know much about. So if you want,
I'm going to backtrack a little bit here. I'm just going to cover this quickly. Basically, basically the guy cut the line off after Stacy yelled at Andy and said, "Hey, I've been in line for a fucking hour. I'm going to get her damn autograph. You can fuck the hell off." And Andy agreed to let her cut the line. We ended up not being able to get the autograph at that time, unfortunately, which I was a little disappointed in, but I shrugged off. Yeah, we'll go see. We got the whole fucking weekend. It's only Friday. There's plenty of time. So at that point, before we separated and headed off, I went down the line of celebrities, and I went to see my favorite Power Ranger, the Red Space Ranger, Andros Christopher Kamen Lee, who is selling a photo of him flipping the finger. And it's kind of awesome. And I did not realize that when I first picked it up until he pointed it out to me, and I went, yeah, no, okay. So that's awesome. Andrew was very cool. He was affordable. Go meet him if you get a chance. We're going to see him again at Morphicon. So definitely check him out. Very cool. Also, I want a cosplay of this uniform, by the way. I need that. There was a dude wearing that on Sunday in the panel. I don't know if you saw him.
I might have, but didn't remember.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Anyway, so I went and got his autograph, and he was very cool about it, and we chatted a little bit about Power Rangers. I told him he was my favorite Ranger, and he signed my nice autograph. And if I can scroll down this way just a little bit, we got an awesome picture together.
Nice. Which I did see that before, but I'll
I'll
publicly comment that that's cool.
Yeah, so that was very cool. I got to hold the helmet. That was nice. So he's a good dude. Very cool. I like him. So anyway, I got that autograph, and then, of course, you two decided to go back to the room because you were tired, and Karen was a little frustrated at not being able to get that autograph. So Stacy and I went to a series of panels because we wanted to do shit. And so we were trying to figure out what to do with time. So we made the decision to overlap panels. Here's what we did. We started off by going to the Dragon Room and actually going to the Women of Voice Acting panel on which Pearl was found. We went there for the first half hour of the panel. It was Pearl and then the Sailor Scouts and a few of the other 6 of the female voice actors who were there, who did give, from the part I heard, some great information about getting into the voice acting industry, how they all started. Some of them obviously started well before others, different roles they had played, things like that. So it's very interesting to hear about all the different experiences about, what it was like for women getting into voice acting back then versus more recently, like Dee Dee Magno Hall's only recently gotten into the industry. And so it was an interesting comparison. So that was very cool. So very informative from those ladies. We did only stay for a half an hour because at that point we did slip out. And we went next door. We went from the Dragon Room to the Kraken Room, where we checked out the Star Trek We Used to Be Explorers panel, which was well done and was basically focused on specific aspects of modern current Star Trek, namely covering, in no particular order, Star Trek Continues, which is a fan series that has 11 episodes and is basically like a fourth series of original Star Trek with Kirk and Spock in them. They did 11 episodes. They had, obviously new actors playing the characters. I have forgotten his first name. Shoot. Crud. Oh, geez. Well, of course, Scotty in the original Star Trek is played by James Doohan, and his son actually plays Scotty in Star Trek Continues. I have forgotten his first name. Chris Doohan, I believe it is. I think, possibly. Anyway. But yeah, it's his son who did a very good job emulating his father. And unfortunately, that we were talking about how that fan production got shut down because Paramount put in new rules regarding fan fiction production. A lot of very strict ones, and that happened because of a fan production known as Axanar, which you could read about, which kind of broke the camel's back because they were bringing in professional actors. They had top-notch effects. They crowdfunded like $1 million, and that's not even an exaggeration. Like, it was a big budget deal to the point that it was on par with actual Star Trek, and that's when Paramount and CBS were like, no. We can't have you making us look bad because we're not making good Star Trek. So they shut that down. And of course, it's about, a war that took place a certain amount of time before Kirk, which conveniently is also the premise of Star Trek Discovery, now available on CBS Access. I'm sure there's no correlation whatsoever. But yeah, also talked about Discovery a little bit, and some of the rules regarding that and how that came to be and some of the controversies about that, and also a little bit about the Orville, which is effectively a Star Trek parody series on the Fox network created by and starring Seth MacFarlane of Family Guy, American Dad, and other such productions. Also the films Ted and Ted 2, and that weird Million Ways to Die in the West movie that I still haven't seen, but I kind of want to.
Yes, I've seen a couple of those episodes.
Yeah. I want to watch some of the Orville, but it's apparently a pretty good series. That's how they talked a lot about modern Trek, how a lot of legal issues had affected Trek in recent years, how they were affecting Trek going forward, and what the future of Trek might hold with Discovery Season 2 and things of that nature. So, very informative, very good fan panel. I had some discussions with those guys. They were from, what was it? Manly Battleships. The Manly Battleships group did that panel. Very informative. Check them out. So, good stuff there. So, I sat through the whole Star Trek panel. About halfway through the Star Trek panel, Stacy was not into it as she thought she was going to be. So, she slipped out at the halfway point to go next door again, just working her way down the hallway, to the Goliath room to catch the beginning of the Overwatch I've Got You in My Sights panel. Overwatch, of course, for those who might not be aware, which if you're not a gamer, the only way you wouldn't be aware, is, of course, a very, very popular online game. It's on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox, and Nintendo Switch now, I believe. And there's a lot of iconic characters. It's basically an online multiplayer game where you play as these characters that work as teams to escort a payload or play capture the flag. There's a deathmatch mode. It's just a really cool online game with a lot of unique characters and team building and stuff like that. So definitely check it out if you get an opportunity. It's a lot of fun. You're bound to find at least one character you enjoy playing as. There's like 26 of them. And so I went to the rest of that panel after Star Trek ended, and I met up with Stacy and caught the end of that. I felt bad for the people running the Overwatch panel. Their laptop didn't work. They couldn't put their projection up, so they were like describing all the things they were supposed to be showing us. I felt bad. But they were some very informative stuff about strategy in the game. How to structure a team, when to switch characters, play in competitive mode versus play in quick play casual mode, how to deal with toxicity, which is always a problem in that game and in a lot of online games. So certainly a lot of informative stuff. There were great, some people in Overwatch cosplays there, very cool. So just a very enjoyable overall panel. So definitely worth checking out, and we finished that panel up. Checking on Geoff here. We'll see if he gets here soon, hopefully. Itchy. All right, so rolling on along. After this, we spoke to Melissa and Cam, who were up in the room at this point and mentioned that they had gotten Pearl's autograph. And so we also headed up to the room to rendezvous, drop off our things, and then we headed to the Spotlight Theater for what we expected to be late night games with Channel Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned earlier, I have, as of late, as of many people, had some issues with Channel Awesome. So I did not go out of my way to do any of their events this weekend. I was going to do this one purely because it didn't involve giving them any money, and it was something to do. Last year, Channel Awesome did a similar thing. They did an improv show. Video of that can be found on Uncle Yo's YouTube channel. And we basically, they were going to do some assorted late night games. A part of Connecticon, as has been recently, is what's referred to as Convivial. And that's effectively a series of events that are run concurrently with Connecticon, but for late night stuff, usually 18 or 21 and over, depending on the event. Booze is frequently involved, and it's off-site, so it's not officially sponsored, endorsed, or run by Connecticon. The Nerd Prom took place across the street at one of the venues, and there was a number of other things that went on as well. Over there. And the Spotlight Theater, as of last year, when people realized they could, has become a popular venue for this because it is late, most of the movies are over, and they can rent out a theater for a sum of money and basically hold an event in the theater. It's got seats, it's got a stage, it's preset for whatever you want to do. And so Channel Awesome had rented a theater to do these late night games. Unfortunately, everybody was there in a line, and what we found out from one of the guys at the theater was that there had been a miscommunication. Apparently, the theaters in question were being used and were not going to be available. We're not going to be open until 10 o'clock. And because of required cleaning and setup, the panels were not going to be able to start until 10:30. And despite having told Connecticon this several times, they did not update their schedule. So the schedule still read as the event taking place at 9.
Which, first of all, stinks for those who were waiting very long to get into the panel.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, we were only online for like 5 minutes before we found out. But what I did notice on the way was that Barney Walker, as we were getting off the elevator, Barney Walker was going into an elevator. I was like, that's interesting. And at first I'm thinking, oh, maybe he forgot something or he had to go get something and he'll come right back. Well, no, he must have just found out. Well, no, we found out that Channel Awesome had only found out of the switch 15 minutes before 9 o'clock. So that must have been it. He just went up to the room until 10 o'clock.
Well, yeah, because Barney goes over for the pre-setup, so he must have gotten they normally get there. He probably got there at like 20 of, 25 of, was told this, and went back over to the hotel to tell Doug and everybody else not to come over.
Right.
That's probably what it was. I didn't realize you spotted him going to the elevator. I thought you spotted him in the bar.
Nope, it was going into the elevator.
Okay, so that explains a lot. But anyway, yeah, so it turns out that they weren't, because of the scheduling snafu, even the people running the event didn't know. And I went out of my way to go up to the front of the line who could not hear the dude over the din of noise in the theater lobby to tell everybody, hey, it's not happening until 10:30. And I'm pretty sure a couple of girls thought I was Walter Benasiak. I don't know if you know who that is.
Not sure.
One of the people that does videos on Channel Awesome, he was doing all the top 5 this or that. He was hosting the comic show.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's also a Power Ranger fan. I like him, but he has a mustache very similar to mine. And the lady said to me, "Hey, oh my God, it's the mustache guy." And I was not sure exactly what the interpretation was, because at first my memory went, oh, because I was unofficially line moderating for the Channel Awesome event last year because we happened to be the first people there, so I was just modding the line as people showed up and telling everybody what was going on. So at first I thought, oh, maybe they remember me from modding the line last year. And then as we were walking away and walking back, my mind went, wait a minute, mustache guy. I bet they thought I was Walter Benasiak. well, anyway, we made the decision at this point that we were not going to go back over at 10:30 for the event, so we just scrapped it. We attempted to walk to the CVS to get some Advil for Stacy, who had a bit of a headache, and it was closed. And apparently, luckily, we did that on Friday, not Saturday. We might have got fucking shot.
Yeah, you'll probably be getting to that.
We'll get to that. Anyway, so yeah, late night games with Channel Awesome we did not go to. I hope it was good. Maybe there's a video. Who knows? We will deal with that later. But yeah, there's also a lot of other great events. The Cosplay Burlesque was over at the Russian Lady, which is nearby. Also, Circus Rejectus was there. There was an acoustic performance for Wizard Party. Chibi-Con, the traveling cosplay show, was there. A lot of great stuff happening at the Russian Lady. They normally take a lot of advantage of that. There was a silent dance party at the Elks Club. So that was cool. Free headphone. Oh, I get it, because everybody had to wear headphones to hear the music. That's interesting. Fun. That was over Prospect Street. Lots of great things. So that was the end of. There was another NerdFit event we didn't get to go to, the boss battles. I wanted to go to that, but it conflicted with the Channel Awesome thing. Wait, what? You still fucking fail, Connecticon. I'm just now looking at the gather. Now, so they now updated the time, and it's still wrong.
Oh, jeez.
Now it says 10 to 10:30. Fucking morons. Can we please get your husband hired to do their app programming, for the love of God? Idiots. Anyway, so at this point, we tried to get Stacy an Advil. We failed because the CVS closed early.
Which I find very strange for Hartford. Because locally here, it's open till 10 o'clock every night.
Yeah, that was very weird. I'm wondering if Hartford might have some city regulations about business hours.
I mean, that could be, but...
Anywho, so after we could not get Advil, we headed back toward the room. We swung into the Subway, which was conveniently open late, and we got some sandwiches. We all got what?
And we took them to go and went back to the room.
Yes, we all got sandwiches except Melissa, who proceeded to eat our sandwiches.
It was little bits of theirs, guys. I didn't eat all their sandwiches.
No, we shared sandwich.
Jim here is a very light eater, so
it's true. I eat like a bird most of the time.
I wasn't terribly hungry, but I had a few bites.
Yeah, so I gave her a little part of my cold cut combo, and she also had a part of Cam's whatever it was that he had.
I actually didn't. I just had yours.
Oh, okay, fair. Anyway, because I know he offered.
He did offer, yes, but I ended up just having yours.
So we all had some sandwiches, and I brought some chips. I got a bag of chips, and we had tea and drinks in the room, so we just had that. And so we ate the sandwiches while watching Act 2 of a Harry Potter musical to round out the musical. Again, review of that will be coming sometime next year, so stay tuned for that. Good times, good times.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Stacy did manage to finally get up to the pool to go swimming for a little while that night before we went to bed. Weird hotel. The pool is on the top floor, and apparently it's only like 3 feet deep.
I will add, I think she did go that morning, too, before you guys woke up.
Right, she got up at like 7:30, yeah. I remember this.
But yeah, apparently I guess it's only 3 feet deep because being that on the top floor, it can't be that deep.
Yeah, so. But there is apparently a hot tub.
Yes.
So, that's cool. All right. So that was Friday. One day down. Saturday. So, as per I mentioned with the tradition from last year, we slept in a little late on Saturday. Except for Stacy, who got up early to make sure because she went to the 9:30 My Little Pony sing-along panel. Apparently, it was good. I didn't really get any detail out of her other than that. So she went and did that. The rest of us got ourselves up and out of the room by 10 o'clock because we were headed to the first panel of the day, which was at 11 o'clock. And that was the RKO Army. It's worth noting we were messaging with Stacy, and I went down first while Melissa Cam were still getting ready, and I verified with Cold Guy over at the panel table, who seemed to be kind of heading up panels because, unfortunately, Cameron's good friend Rin, who was one of the main panel dudes, could not make it this year. I hope he was okay. I don't know what his conflict was, but
no, I mean, I think he was fine. I think he just had a conflict of some kind.
Okay, that's fair. But anyway, perhaps that was the cancellation. I bet Rin had at least one panel on the agenda.
Oh, maybe.
Because I know last year he did Here's How to Program a Video Game. So we rendezvoused with Stacy after verifying that there was not going to be a room clear between two events we wanted to go to. The first one was the RKO Army, and they performed what was effectively a lip sync acting out of songs. First, from the musical episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, entitled Once More with Feeling, and then later from the hit online musical Dr. Horrible's Sing Along blog. They played the songs in question on the big screens. This was in the main BC ballroom, the big room. And they played on the three screens, the videos, while on the main stage they were in costumes that were very close and were acting out the scenes while lip syncing the song. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was enjoyable. I do feel like if it had been possible, they would have been better off if the actual video had been on the side screens and they had been on the larger center screen.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that kind of made sense.
Because I feel like if it was cool watching them do it, but I feel like a lot of people, myself included, were getting distracted just watching the video and not watching them.
Yeah, I was guilty of that too.
Yeah, so or the other way around, having the video on the main screen and them on the side, so you were more likely to see them than the main video. Either one of those would have worked.
Right.
But they did do a great job. They had pretty good costumes. They did a great job with the acting. They looked like the characters, and they clearly having a lot of fun with it. And in particular, of course, it was really great for well, for both. But they had great for both. The fact that I liked the demon guy for the musical of Buffy. He was fun. But it was very, very enjoyable. A little bit of spoilers for us because we're in the process of binging Buffy, thanks to Stacy, and we are only in the beginning of season 1, so we have not gotten here yet. So hopefully we'll enjoy that episode more when we finally get to it down the line. So we enjoyed the RKO Army panel. Melissa and Cam joined us partway through. And we followed this up. There was not a room clear, so we kept our seats for Avatar, The 100 Years War, a dance performance by Calligraphy with a K.
That was really cool.
Yeah, I want to emphasize, video of this is on Connecticon's YouTube channel. It's there, the whole hour and 36 minutes.
Watch it.
Watch it. It's there. Calligraphy is awesome. Effectively,
that was Cameron's favorite moment of the weekend.
Nice. I approve of this judgment. It was they are a dance troupe, and they did a lot of dance acting out events that either well, I should say events that were known to occur and events that could have occurred. And the events that were known to occur, it's how they could have occurred because none of this was actually seen in the show. But the 100, I should probably preface for those that are not familiar with Avatar: The Last Airbender, and if you're not, go watch it. It's an amazing series. But the 100 Years War is part of the major premise of Avatar. It's that in the land of the four nations, fire, earth, air, and water, the four nations lived in harmony until the Fire Nation attacked, blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows the opening script. Well, the Hundred Years' War was the war that was launched when the Fire Nation began attacking other nations. And it lasted for 100 years because the new Avatar, the master of all four elements, Aang, inadvertently encased himself in a block and his flying buffalo, uh,
Appa.
Appa, thank you. Wow, that's sad. Uh, Appa in a block of ice, and were floating around in the waters near the Southern Water Tribe for 100 years, while the Fire Nation wreaked havoc upon the world. And this dance troupe basically acted out, like I said, stuff that would have happened during that 100-year period before Avatar the show. Events included a young waterbender accompanying some monks on a journey back to the Southern Water Tribe to try to find her family. It involved the precursors leading up to the siege of Ba Sing Se by the great dragon, General Iroh, and the events that led to both the failure of that siege and the death of Iroh's son, whose name escapes me.
By the way, I mean, I don't know if the timing is right, but I kind of wonder if that young waterbender, because she said at some point she had a son and a daughter, I wonder if that was Sokka and Katara's mother.
I was wondering that too, and given the time frame, it should be, because that was right around when Iroh's son died, who was older, and we established right near the end that Zuko was around and about to go off with Iroh on the journey. They did a time skip, but I think that's probably about right.
And I think they did, if I remember right, I think they did say that she died.
Yeah, but the interesting caveat there was the fact that she was captured by she was killed by the firebenders in the Southern Water Tribe, but this showed her being captured by firebenders much earlier, not being without having made it back to the Southern Water Tribe. So I don't know, maybe a little artistic liberty.
Like maybe that at that moment when she was captured, I think they like let her go, but then if it time lapsed, if it time jumped later, that maybe that's she was killed.
Oh, that's right, because they let her go and took the monk, and then they got her again later. That would have been the time when she got back. And yes, okay, that fits. Right. We also got to see, like I said, we got to see Iroh's son try to barter peace with Ba Sing Se by calling on the name of the White Lotus. It does not work, but it does show that there were those who didn't agree with this war from in much earlier days. Iroh, of course, fails, and his son is killed, and we see the dramatic scene in which this occurs.
And I will note that the dialogue going on in this performance were mostly done by like voiceover recordings. Like the actors were not speaking, but this was the only scene when Iroh mourns his son that the actor is actually screaming. It's not the voiceovers. He's actually going, "No!" It was actually him.
Yeah, that was very impressive.
That was the only moment where they did not use voiceover recordings.
Yes, and there was a lot of very well choreographed dance numbers where we see waterbenders fighting firebenders, firebenders fighting earthbenders, just all kinds of cool fighting scenes of different dance styles and things going against each other. It was really cool, and their costumes were really great too. Simple, but effective for portraying the characters. And it was really well done, and particularly the actors who played Iroh and, of course, Ozai, who would invariably become Fire Lord Ozai to be defeated by the Avatar in the series, were both very, very well portrayed, and they really kind of took the show, and I thought that was good. I also like that they did go out of their way, because of some of the scenes that were mentioned in regards to things that happened there. They did go out of their way to show creepy old lady fucking bloodbending firebender guards to escape prison.
Yes.
That was a cool scene.
Hey, Jim, I'm just going to temporarily pause, but you can keep going. I'll be right back. I'm just going to mute my microphone and turn the camera off, but I'm still here.
Okay. Pause away. I need to know where the hell Geoff is. Because he should be here by now. Well, at any rate, while Melissa's wandering, let's continue on here. But this performance was amazing, and as I mentioned, it is on the Connecticon YouTube channel. You can search it. It's Avatar 100 Years War by Calligraphy, and it's really an amazing performance. And if you like dance of any kind, and if you love Avatar, you should see this. It's incredibly well done, and they're incredibly gifted people. And I think they putting this performance together, while respecting the continuity of the show, showing events that we had heard about but not totally seen, and working in the amazing dance and costumes to complement it was just so good. And it's definitely worthwhile for you to check it out if you're a fan of Avatar at all. So definitely give that a watch. So Stacy chose not to stay for this. Much as she liked Avatar, she wanted to go check out some of the cosplay photo shoots that were going on, namely Dragon Age, of which there were not very many people. And then she went over to the Overwatch cosplay photo shoot, which had a lot more people, and she got a lot of great pictures, which was nice to see. And she checked out all that great stuff. Over the course of time that we were in the show for the 100 Years War, because it was an hour and a half, hour and 40-minute production. Stacey also went to the dealer's room, got herself a salad, and got herself an autograph. Got herself an autograph from Nolan and pictures with Nolan North, famed voice actor Nolan North, who was there. I chose not to get an autograph from him, purely because as much as I do love him in Uncharted, he was charging more than almost everybody else. And being that I am going to Power Morphicon in August, and I'm a huge Power Ranger fan, I felt it more worthwhile to save my money for Morphicon guests. But if I ever have another chance to get a Nolan North autograph, I may choose to do so. We'll see. But she did all that. Also, she swung by Nostalgia Critics booth, and apparently there weren't that many people there with the channel awesome, so that sucks, but it happens. And we, after the events of that, we exited the Avatar show and decided we wanted to get some lunch, so we went out to the Food Truck Festival. It was hot. Word of advice from a guy who made the stupid mistake not thinking of which ones he had. If you're going to be outside in the sun for an extended period of the hot day, don't wear a black t-shirt. It will make you hotter. Don't do it. Wear light colors that reflect sun. It was hot. Kim and Melissa stopped by the lobster truck. Cameron got a lobster sandwich of some kind, and Melissa had a grilled cheese, which they were also serving. I'm told they were very good. She can verify that upon her return, perhaps. I was trying to find something to eat, and the problem is I'm not big on exotic food. I'm a little bit of a picky eater, and I didn't want to have it. Having had subs twice so far this weekend, I didn't want to have another sub, although the yellow sub machine was there. That's a great food truck. They also was, of course, the Man vs. Food hot dogs were available from the hot dog truck, but I had a hot dog for lunch a day before and didn't really want to do it again. And I was going to go to one of my favorite traditions as part of this, in addition to Blind Pig, and that's the New Haven Pizza Truck, who also has excellent pizza. They were not serving by the slice this year. They were only serving 11-inch personal pizzas, $11 for cheese, $12 with a topping. Given that I don't eat much, not paying $12 for pizza. No. Was not happening. Hey, it's the living room.
Yes, hello.
All right. So, I guess he's not coming. I don't know where the hell Geoff is. I hope he's here soon. Anywho. So, yeah, how was the, you said that what you guys had, a lobster sandwich and a grilled cheese?
Cameron got grilled cheese with bacon and lobster.
Ah, okay.
Which was $17. I was like,
wow. I mean, lobster, fair, but still.
The grilled cheese, like just grilled cheese, was $7.
Yeah, that's a little better.
So, but being that, it was a lobster truck and, in the Northeast, it's like, why not? But really, the way the sandwich was, it was kind of a kind of big sandwiches. So I kind of feel like the prices were justified. Even though 17 sounds much, I feel like the prices were justified, the way the sandwich was proportioned. But I tried a bite of his, and it was very good, and the fries were good. So it was a nice meal.
Sorry. But yeah, and like I said, I was not, as much as I do enjoy the New Haven pizza truck, and it's what I normally would have had, I didn't feel like paying $12 for personal pizza that I knew I wasn't going to finish.
Especially since they're kind of big personal pizzas.
Mm-hmm. It's 11 inches. That's a pretty big pizza. That's not exactly a small pizza. I don't have a ruler handy to demonstrate, but think about it. A ruler is 12 inches. It was 1 inch shorter than a standard ruler. That's kind of a big pizza for a personal pizza.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a Pizza Hut personal pizza is what, like 8 inches maybe?
Yeah, it's a lot smaller.
Yeah, so not really worth the money as much as I do enjoy pizza. However, I was still considering doing that. I mean, I like to vary my foods if possible, and we had already had blind pig the night before. Excuse me. On Thursday night, rather. And so I was like, I was going to suck it up and just pay $12 for a pepperoni personal pizza. And then I was thinking, and I went, oh, wait a minute. There's other stuff at the cafe in the dealer's room. Ooh, they have chicken tenders. So I went to the cafe and got chicken tenders and some fries, which was tasty. And Cameron and Melissa went and got froyo from the froyo place. So that's cool. Was it good froyo?
It was very good froyo, yes.
Excellent. So after we did all that stuff, Stacy was still walking around doing stuff, and we didn't run in with her right away. After I finished my food, given that he was there and I had a free moment, I took the opportunity to grab myself an autograph from Justin Nemo, the Silver Space Ranger.
Speaking of autographs.
There you go. Let me focus on you. Hang on. There we go.
Yes.
But yes, Justin Nemo, he played the Silver Ranger, because you see him in his regular silver suit, and then as focus on music, and then as the Silver Psycho Ranger, which was not a real Psycho Ranger, but a disguise that Zane wore to infiltrate them. The Psycho Silver Ranger, by the way, if you like this Ranger, is a Power Morphicon exclusive action figure. If you're going to be a Morphicon, they're going to have it available. You can pre-order it now. So Justin Nemo was very nice. He was cool. I also got a picture with him. Let me bring that up. Open the gallery. Thank you. Over here. I got two. Which one's better? That one's a little bit. Yeah, there we go. I got a great picture with me and him there. Can we clear that a little bit? Come on.
Well.
Yeah, what the? Hang on. Oh, no. Open the picture back up. Let's turn that down just a little bit more.
You know, I've seen the picture, but
no, but the audience hasn't.
Yes.
That's a little better. You can kind of see us there. I get to hold the Silver Space helmet. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So very cool. And he was equally nice and also very affordable. Only $30 for a picture autograph combo. So that was very good. Chris Camenley was a little more. He was doing $40, but it was still very worthwhile. So it's about what I expect to pay. Nolan North was trying to get 50, and that's why I didn't head over there. So, following this, yeah, I got Justin Nemo autograph, and Stacy was around. This is where my notes end, so now we're going to start winging it. I'll update the notes later. So after I got Justin Nemo's autograph at that point, let's see what happened. Yeah. Oh, right. At that point, I was telling you, Stacy had been walking around the dealer's area and had kind of given up and gone back to the room, and you guys had already since returned to the room after the froyo. So after seeing message, I rejoined you all in the room. Let me open up the gather schedule to remember what our next event was.
Well, I remember that we had to go back to the information desk for the 18 plus panels, the 18 plus bracelets, because they said that you had to go back each day for a new 18 plus bracelet, which that's the first year they did that because they never did that before. In previous years, you were able to keep your 18 plus bracelet.
Yeah.
However, when we went back to get because we were going to go to an 18 plus panel at 6:30 that night. We go back to find that they ran out. But they said you can show them your ID at the door and they will honor that to let you in. This panel that we were supposed to go to was it was voice actors playing Cards Against Humanity. What was the actual title? Cards Against
Voice Actors.
Yes. And so
hold it. I must pause you. After we rendezvoused in the room and did some stuff in the room, again, putting our stuff down and generally composing ourselves with a little bit of a snackage. What we actually did at that point in time was we went to the Making Music with NES and Game Boy panel.
That's right. That was right.
Which was run by Glenn DuBois of the NerdFit Network, also known as Glenn Ty. And he's an expert in music, and so was showing off unique programs for making chiptune music, which, if you don't know, is the kind of music that was commonly heard in 80s and early 90s video games. Things like the Mario theme, boop, 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 ba-boo-da-doo, boo-doo, ba-doo, ba-doo, boop, ba-doo, boop, stuff like that. And you can get programs that let you make all kinds of music with minimal sounds to create these amazing pieces. People release albums of this stuff. And he was showing how he had one for NES and also one for Game Boy and how those worked. And so it was really kind of it was really cool to hear some of the songs. I was a little bit lost on it. I know Cam enjoyed that much more than I did because he's Mr. Computer Programmer, so it made a lot more sense to him than it did to me, I'm sure.
Yes, he found it very enjoyable.
That's good.
As did I.
Yeah. So, yeah, that goes before this. We did try the 18 bracelets, and they were told, show your ID, because we ran out. You had none yesterday. You've now run out. How many did you order? Clearly somebody is not counting supplies here. 12,000 people show up to this thing. A lot of them are over 18. You have a lot of 18 plus events. Math. Anyway, so at this point we said, okay, that panel ended at 6 o'clock. The voice actors against humanity panel. Let me locate it here. No, not that. Oh, sorry, Cards Against Voice Actors. Cards Against Voice Actors. Which was scheduled to feature Steve Bloom, Nolan North, Troy Baker, Dee Dee Magno Hall, and Vanessa Marshall. And would have been fucking awesome. That was one of the main things I was looking forward to. That was going to be amazing, especially if they started reading out cards and voices. Oh, God. But we went to go find out how early, because last year the cards game was run by the NerdFit Network, and because they know they do that every year with a different, depending on the guest. The year before it was Channel Awesome, and they know it's an incredibly popular, actually Channel Awesome and NerdFit. And and they know that it's incredibly popular. And so they, because people were always waiting in long-ass lines for a long time beforehand, last year they took initiative and said, okay, we're going to make sure that room is empty for the session set before the cards game, and people can come and claim seats in the room, and we're going to put Cold Guy in there with his FMVs to entertain people for an hour before the panel starts. So people can come in, get settled, get their stuff, do what they got to do, and they know and they can claim their seats rather than sitting in a hallway. So we went after after the NES music at 6 o'clock to the panel desk to find out how early they were going to have that open and let people in there. And Cold Guy informed us that the Cards Against Voice Actors panel was canceled because somebody got food poisoning.
Was it just one person or was it a few people?
I don't know. He made it sound to me like it sounded to me like he said there was a case of food poisoning that could technically apply to multiple people. I don't know. He did not really specify. All we know is that that event was canceled, and that sucked donkey balls.
Mm-hmm.
Not cool. You have more than enough guests there. If shit was that bad, you could have called Channel also for the Nerd Fit guys. They would have done a cards game for you. They were there. It's not like they were doing much else. Nerd Fit had nothing to do until their thing I'm going to get to in a minute, so I don't know. But yeah, so that happened. Yeesh. And what did they actually say here? Where is it? Let's see. Yeah, they just said, event update. Dear attendees, we are saddened to announce that unfortunately the panel for Cards Against Voice Actors has been canceled. Apologies for inconvenience. They did not specify why.
I don't know if they were publicly saying someone got food poisoning. I just think Cold Guy probably liked us enough to tell us what. Actually, I take that back because the other guy was telling other people too.
Yeah. So unfortunately, yeah. So that happened. And it sucked. So we decided to make the best of a bad situation. I checked the schedule, as I am wont to do, and instead, for the second year in a row, because last year we actually weren't even intending to be there, but we did it so we could camp the room for Doug's panel afterward, and we still got thrown out for a room clear. We went over to check out the good people from the Manly Battleships once again. I had seen them, of course, earlier in the Star Trek panel, and they were hosting Game Show Impossible 8-Bit Challenge, which is where they put up some emulators of classic 8-bit video games with some minor difficulty tweaks. And basically volunteers come up and try to play them. And if they fail, the audience must scream at them, "That's impossible!" Which is a change because I think last year the loser had to scream it at the audience. If my memory serves.
I think you're right.
So, interesting change. But the winners got, they inevitably narrowed it down to winners who played off to inevitably get to a champion. There was a badass dude in a Cthulhu mask, and he took second, and I was very upset. I was hoping Cthulhu mask guy would win. But the winners, there was candy to everybody who participated. The winners got themselves a nice little Manly Battleships door hanger and a can of Surge soda. And the Surge was a prize last year. I remember that. And so they got Surge soda. The winner got a door hanger, extra Surge soda, a Manly Battleships t-shirt, all kinds of good stuff. So, very cool. So that was an enjoyable panel. They played a lot of different little 8-bit games. They were fun. Good stuff. What did you think?
That was a fun panel. I don't know. I wasn't brave enough to try it, but
neither was I. I was expecting Stacy or Cam to give it a whirl.
Yeah, no, Cameron was not going to do it.
Stacy was right in the front. I thought she jumped at the chance to play video games, but apparently not. So we finished out Impossible Brew, which went from 8 to 9 when the convention center closed. We then vacated the convention center and went back to our room and watched fireworks.
The annual riverfront fireworks.
Yep. And last year we were only on like the 6th or 8th floor. We had the 12th floor this year, room 1208, and we had a much better view over the top of the convention center to see the fireworks. So that was nice.
Better view. I think we were on the 4th floor last year.
Maybe. Because I know one of the 2 years we were on the 8th floor.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. I get back check the previous 2 reviews and find out later.
Yeah.
So we went back to the room, and debate was had as to what to do. I was very enthused about the final event of the night because I missed it last year because it was right after the Channel Awesome thing, and I went back to the room with you guys because at the time I was not comfortable enough with the con to wander around on my own. I am now. So I went back over to the spotlight for the NerdFit presents Drinking and Dragons 2 Basilisk Bonanza 18+. It was amazing. This was a hilarious fucking panel. I was actually... I'm now following the NerdFit guys on everything because I didn't do it the previous year and I should have. I was actually in the chat. Glenn and Eric were actually running a live stream. They do 3 lives. There's live streams every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Wednesday is Eric and Glenn playing video games. They're playing Mega Man. And I was actually jumping in the chat. I actually had a conversation with them. We were talking about Drinking and Dragons. It was kind of amazing.
Cool.
I joined their Discord and I gave them the link to the video to their Sunday panel, which we'll get to, which is on Connecticon's YouTube channel. And they thought that was cool. There was general agreement all around that NerdFit needs to we need to crowdfund NerdFit a camera setup to film Drinking and Dragons 3 next year because it's fucking insane. But yeah, so that was in Theater 4 on the back. I was a little pissed off because this was a late night event, and I went over there, and granted, I know it was near the end because it was 10 o'clock, but 10 o'clock was like, they were saying it was the cutoff time, but like, knowing there's a later event, I figured maybe they go a little over. I'm like, can I just get like a couple of sliders to fries? No food. The fuck you too. Mind you, I probably address at this point. Actually, I should have addressed at this point. We missed an event. We fucked up. We fucked up. We fucked up. We fucked up.
Hey, calm down. Which one did we miss?
Because I forgot. Before we went back at 5 o'clock and went to the NES Music, for the NES Music panel, we went to Ted's Montana Grill.
Oh, that was... or was that after Channel... That thing, wasn't that after they canceled the... Not canceled, but... canceled the voice actor? That might have been after.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. Because you're right. Because the Cards Against was supposed to be 7:30 to 9. It got canceled, and it was like 6:30 when we were standing there checking it out. And the Impossible didn't start till 8. You're right. So that's where that fit in. Ted's Montana Grill is right up the street. It's a little past the theater, and they are well known for serving bison. Bison steak, bison burgers. They also have beef, of course, but their bison is rather well known. And so we went over there to get some food. Melissa and I were not hungry, so we just had a drink, and we did not really eat. Stacy had a salad, and Cam had a bison burger. And fries, which we kind of shared. And of course, lo and behold, who's at the table right next to us but Doug Walker and the Channel Awesome crew.
Which we did not bother them.
We did not, but they were sitting there. Also with them was Uncle Yo, who I didn't even know was at the con.
He must have just been there as a con goer.
Yeah, he was there as a goer because he's given up being a con guest.
Yes. But anywho.
Yeah.
Fast forwarding back.
Yes. So that was excellent. So yeah, so we fast forward back, and in the room, I wanted to go to the D&D game. Nobody else did. So I made a decision that, all right, I'm going to go to the D&D game. I'll get a little food while I'm there. I'll eat it while I'm watching the D&D game because I was at this point hungry because we didn't eat dinner at Ted's Montana Grill earlier.
And then you said that they were not serving food anymore.
Yeah, and they were not serving food. I probably could have gotten some popcorn or something. Like, I could have gotten the basic shit, like popcorn and candy and nachos, but they weren't doing hot food. And I'm like, I don't want that. So I went to the back to the theater, which the dude fucked up. He's like, it's in the back of theater 3. No, it's not. It was in theater 4. Fail. But I found the place because luckily somebody came out, went in, got a nice seat right in the front. They set their D&D table up in that space between the front chairs and the back chairs. You know, that big aisle? That was where they set their D&D table up.
Okay.
There were some ads running on the screen when we got in there, but they eventually turned those off. And the gang came in and they sat down and they set up. It featured Eric, Glenn, Roxy, Kent, and Buffalo. All 5 of the main Nerd Fit guys, 4 guys and Roxy, the girl, were there. And so they said about they resumed the D&D game that they when it wasn't literal D&D, it was Drinking and Dragons. It was just a tabletop role-playing game that we are playing that may have a D&D base underneath. And they apparently picked up the game that they started at last year's Connecticon.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun. They handed out the character sheets. It was insane. I won't go through everything, but the highlights of the panel include, but are not limited to, Eric literally falling out of his chair onto the floor. Glenn cracking open a particular special beer that he brought that had a very strong head, and he nearly spit it out all over the floor. We had, I should mention, the game in question, the characters were in an interdimensional Arby's.
Oh.
They were in an interdimensional Arby's that was an Infina Arby's, where every time you open a new door, there's another Arby's. And the menu had everything in that you could imagine, and there was a dude named Frank behind the counter who was being played by the DM, which Buffalo was DMing. And and the characters included Eric, who was Captain Insano of this crew. There was Glenn's character, whose name I didn't catch. There was Roxy, who was Il Bastardo and was speaking with a terrible fake Italian accent. And then Kent, whose character name I also didn't catch, but he was invisible most of the time. Additional highlights included one of the dudes in the front row in a Steven Universe cosplay getting out his phone and on Eric's behalf placing an order for actual Arby's. Which my understanding was the Arby's was closed and wouldn't deliver that late, I think. I'm not positive. I did not see the Arby's show up, so I'm thinking they didn't get it, but it was still funny as hell. And I was in the front, so I would have seen it if it happened. Yeah, I felt bad because they packed that theater, but half the people had to sit in the front and basically kind of crane their heads to look at the game, which is why they need a camera set up to put that shit on the screen. Neither here nor there. So I said, highlights, Eric fell out of his chair, Glenn with the beer, Roxy's Il Bastardo character acting insane and attacking Glenn's character in a massive fight. And pretty much the best highlight of the night. So Eric is like the leader of NerdFit, and he was doing terribly. And so mind you, everybody in the room, both the players and the audience, are downing booze. So other than people like me who don't drink, everybody was at least had a buzz, if not wasted.
Mm.
So there's a point in the game where Glenn is being attacked by Roxy in character, and Roxy is trying to rip Glenn's balls off. And so Eric's character had been incredibly weak. He had been knocked out and had managed to get back up, but was still very weak. And Glenn was going to cast a thunder wave that he had, and it would have basically knocked Eric's character back out again because it would have affected everybody in the room. And so Eric said to the DM, no, let me do a saving roll first so I can survive this, so I get long enough for him to go down. I want to survive for him to go down. And the DM was like, no, I'm not doing that. So Eric pulls his wallet out and he goes, I have $4. I will give you $4 to let me roll first. He's like, no. Eric walked around crowdfunding the audience who all started giving him money. I think somewhere I think he ended up with like $100. I think he had like $60 American and like $40 Canadian by the time he was done to bribe the DM, and it just kept going. And every time he got more money, he called out like, I have $15, I have $20. And the audience was just rolling, laughing. And the DM took the bribe, and he got to do a saving roll. It didn't help him for very long, but he pulled it off. It was fucking incredible. And then, of course, we got near the end where people trying to get Glenn killed. There was a point where Glenn used an intimidation on the Frank behind the counter, and basically the DM jumped on this and so basically had Frank interpret him as being the president, not the president, any given president. Mm-hmm. And so then Roxy's El Bastardo character, the reason she attacked him was like, I'm going to declare myself the president of the Arby's. She's like, El Bastardo for president of Arby's. Franks deserve a $17 living wage. It was fucking incredible. And then, of course, near the end, when they finally found that escape route, Glenn's character managed to get out. And when Kent's character managed to go too, Glenn did not succumb to it, as Eric got it going from the audience. Kent did succumb to the inevitable "put your dick in it" chant.
Ah.
So he put his dick in it, and then, of course, Buffalo turned around and was like, all right, now roll for length and girth. And everybody was like, really? Not cool. But it was amazing. So by the end of the game, Glenn escaped the Infina Arby's, but no one else did. And the game will resume it, presumably at next year's Connecticon. So, fucking amazing. I made the right call to go. And I will take a moment here to give a very big thank you to Melissa and Stacy, because I was still starving because they had no food at the fucking theater because they wouldn't give me food. So they were nice enough to order me a burger and fries from the room service, which charged $5 for a room service delivery from downstairs. Bullshit. For which admittedly is a really good and big burger, but $14 for a burger and fries. And I went back to the room and I enjoyed the burger and fries upon my return. While I was gone, my understanding, as I'm based on where my laptop was paused, is that you guys did also get through the majority of the first act of a Harry Potter sequel, which I set up and played before I left.
Yes, although I did fall asleep.
That happened.
Because it was around midnight. So.
Yeah. So I got back to the room, and we find out that several things have occurred. Number one, down the road across the bridge by the CVS, somebody shot off a gun. Purportedly. Number two, there was some kind of a fight on the bridge. And due to mass hysteria and miscommunication about this, that's why when we were watching from the 12th floor during the fireworks, we saw everybody come cascading down from the bridge down the stairs. At the same time, somebody down near the lobby had a heart attack and had to be taken out by ambulance.
A very eventful Saturday night.
Yeah. And on top of all of that, purportedly somebody set off firecrackers in the parking garage.
Yep.
Yeesh.
Anyway, on to Sunday?
Yeah, let's move to Sunday. That was the end of Saturday. We went to bed. I still don't have notes, so we're still winging it. All right, let's do it. I was
going to say, if you don't mind, I'd like to do my own recap of Sunday, only because it's getting late and I got to go to bed soon. Like a quick rundown. And then you can do your rundown. I don't know if I'm going to cut off before your rundown, but only because I'm getting...
Go for it.
Okay. So I'm going to probably talk briefly about the panels. I'll let you talk about the panels in detail afterward, because there were times where we split up, and I just want to fill in on the other stuff that we did. So we start out, our first panel of the day is first, we got Cameron and I got breakfast at the Starbucks downstairs while we checked out and brought our stuff outside. Luckily, the elevators were not that busy, and probably because we were on a higher floor than normal.
Yeah, we should probably mention the conflagration of the fact that normally our tradition is we will get our stuff out to the majority of our stuff to the car on Saturday night to avoid crowds on Sunday when everybody's trying to check out. But because of the combination of me wanting to go to the panel and all the shit that was going on, nobody wanted to leave the room to fight through all that, especially with the, all the freaking emergency people in the lobby dealing with the person who had an unfortunate heart attack, and I really hope they're okay.
Yes.
I didn't hear any more about that, so hopefully they are all right.
I think we made the right call.
Yeah. So we ended up having to move things on Sunday instead, and Kim and Melissa got up earlier and they went first.
But anyway, and then we get to the panel. We go to the NerdFit panel, and of course, all the NerdFit participants were very hungover from the night before, and they said so. But it was still a fun panel. I'm going to let Jim talk about that after. Because in between that and the Power Rangers panel that was after, I decide to try out karaoke. Which there weren't that many people, which I'm like, that's fine. Maybe there's not a long wait. And also, we don't need, I just want to do it for fun. So basically you go up to the booth and you just write down your name and what you want to sing and by who. And I was the third person in line. There wasn't that many people. I sang Everywhere by Michelle Branch. That was it? Yeah, Everywhere by Michelle Branch, yeah. And, well, you probably have heard it around. But anyway.
Okay.
And there wasn't that big a crowd, but the one guy who was there, really liked it, and did applause. And the DJ was like, oh, there's not a lot of people, but, you did a great job. So I was like, yeah, no, that's fine. I was just doing it for fun. So that was cool. I did that. And then I decided to go back to the the Phoenix room where Power Rangers was.
I believe that was a Phoenix room because we had 3 panels back to back in a Phoenix room.
So I walk in and the Power Rangers panel had already started, and it wasn't Chris, it was the other guy. What was his name again?
Justin Nemo.
Justin. So Justin, of course, I walk in and I forget to close the door behind me, and Justin's like, hello. And I'm like, hello. He goes, do you mind closing the door behind you because of all that karaoke going on? Which I'm like, oh, oops, sorry. Which, of course, the way he said that, I was like, uh-oh, did he just hear my singing just now, and did he hate it? That was what I was thinking, but I don't know. But anyway, I digress. So I sit down and watch the Power Rangers panel. And then, of course, the next panel was Pearl's panel, Dee Dee Magno Hall. And we weren't sure if they were going to be doing a room clear or not. We were not told that they were doing a room clear, but we saw that there was a line forming outside for the panel. So Jim decides to ask, oh, is there going to be a room clear? Because we'll leave if there is. And they said, no, we just have a checklist here just to see how many people are in the panel, that are going to be in the panel. But since you guys are there, you guys can just stay. So we were like, oh, okay, cool. So we stayed in our seats right in the front row. And my quick highlights from that panel was, it was her Q&A. She was very nice, very funny. The one moment that stuck out for me was when one of the attendees asked her a question. I forgot how the question ended, but I think the question was something like, when the show ends, are you looking to explore other avenues or something like that? And being observing these type of panels before, what the words that come out of my mouth, even though I'm not saying it that loud, but it's loud enough for her to hear, is that I'm not saying it loudly, I'm saying it softly, but she can still hear me. I go, the show will never end. And she heard me. And she repeats it and looks at me. The show will never end. And the whole room starts bursting out laughing. Which, I wasn't expecting that. I was just muffling it, but just the way that timing worked was just absolutely hilarious, in my opinion. But anyway, I know I'm missing stuff, but I'm going to let Jim talk about other stuff in the panels.
That's fine. Go ahead.
So after that, after that, we sent Jim along because Jim still had to get her autograph. That's when, he showed you the autograph. Actually, I'm sorry, he showed you the picture before of him and her. This is the autograph he got after the panel, which is very cool. But while we sent him off, Cameron decided he wanted to do karaoke. So we decided to duet A Whole New World from Aladdin, which we've sung that before at our local chorale Christmas party, which they call a Kaylee. the annual Kaylee, which we did not last year, but the year before. And this time there were more people, and it was pretty receptive. People gave us a thumbs up afterward. It was fun. And then we went back to the dealer's room to still find Jim in line. We waited for Jim to get his autograph. And we met up with Stacy at some point. I think. Oh, and then that's when we went back to Blind Pig, where Cameron finally got the Mac Attack, because even though we knew about the Mac Attack, it wasn't on the menu Thursday night, so it just slipped our minds about it. But we finally got to try the Mac Attack, which if you ever go to the Blind Pig and they're offering the Mac Attack, I highly recommend it. That was the barbecue chicken and mac and cheese. It was delicious. I highly recommend it. So, yes. And then after that, we proceeded to go back home. And with that, if you don't mind, I'm going to sign off.
That's fine. I'll run through some more detail on Sunday to wrap the video up. If Geoff shows up, I can fill him in on a little bit. If not, then I'll just wrap it up myself.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for having me, Geoff.
Thank you for being here. I'm glad at least you helped with my memory to ensure I had events correctly, and I was a little bit worried about that, so I'm definitely glad you were here.
Yes, thanks. I mean, I'll say the NerdFit panel was hilarious. I mean, all the panels were good. At least the ones I saw. I'm sure the other ones were good too. But in terms of my one last final word of the con, I had a different feeling about it than in recent years, but it was a good time.
Different how?
There were its frustrations, with how things were organized and and the noise at night while we're trying to sleep.
In all fairness, I will make a point. Blame your husband for part of that.
Why?
Because he's Mr. Prefer a room near the elevator.
Yeah, but you could have a room on the other side, and they didn't put us on the other side. And we've never had this issue before. We were not going to anticipate that. Yeah,
I'm just saying, in the previous 2 years that I was there with you, we had rooms on either far end of the hallway. We always had the very last room. This is the first year we were near the elevator. Cam might have done it for that reason. And if you're near the elevator, you're going to hear everybody going on and off the elevator. That's kind of an inevitability.
No, that wasn't the noise I was talking about.
Oh.
The outside noise.
Oh, yeah, there is a large stairwell that runs, a very wide stairwell that has a flat area in the middle that runs between the convention center and the hotel, and there's doors from each and you can cross between. And the convention center closes at 9 o'clock, but a lot of people like to, and then the game room in the hotel stays open until 2 a.m. But a lot of people like to, some people bring music set up and will play it outside, and people will dance and just hang out on the big stairwell. And unfortunately, their music, particularly the bass line, was very loud, and it was a little bit disturbing in terms of people trying to sleep.
That was basically what, yes, there were people outside the rooms, but eventually they went into their rooms, and that was it. But we were mostly talking about the music. But anyway, thank you, Jim, and thank you all. I will see you in the future.
Yes, thank you, Liz. We will see you for the next video we get together, whatever video that might be. We will find out and let you know.
Alrighty. Goodbye.
All right. So Melissa gave a base level run through. I'm going to give some more detail on the Sunday events here because there were some great stuff there, and I do want to cover it a little bit. And maybe Geoff will show up. We'll find out. If not, then I'm just going to round this out myself. It's just going to be you and me. So let me bring up my... Again, I didn't get my notes finished, so I'm just going to bring this up here on my... Let's see here. So, as she mentioned, we ended up having to put our stuff in the car on Sunday morning, which luckily there was not a lot of line. And as she said, that may have been attributed to the fact that we were on a higher floor. So if the elevator was starting on top and going down, we were likely to get it before a lot of people made it on. So that really helped, I think. So, anyway, Melissa and Cam got up first thing on Sunday morning, and they went and put their stuff in the car, and then went to Starbucks and got like a muffin or something. Stacy and I got up a little bit later than they did. So by the time we got up, got ourselves ready for the day, and got most of our stuff packed away in our bags, Cam and Melissa returned to get the last few of their things. And so we headed out of the room. We ran over to the car, put a remainder of our stuff in the car, and went to enjoy the con for the final day on Sunday. We went over to the Phoenix room and pretty much parked ourselves there. Along the way, Cam and Melissa walked ahead to the room. Stacy and I stopped along the way because we had not had breakfast yet. And luckily, there is some places, as mentioned, in the convention center. The cafe was not yet open because I think they only do lunch and sort of dinner if you're there late enough, I guess. But we, there are a couple of places within the convention center. There is a small Starbucks cafe, but there's also a Seattle's Best. And they are on the right-hand landing opposite side of where the karaoke used to be. And so we stopped there, and I was going to get a glazed donut, but I give credit to Anastasia, who said to me, "Don't be like that. Have something healthy." And she got herself a banana, and I said, "You know what? You're right." So I got an apple, and I had an apple for breakfast, and I think that was the right decision. So thank you, Stacy, for keeping me healthy. I appreciate that. So I had an apple for breakfast, and we rendezvoused up at the panel room in Phoenix room, where we opened up with the NerdFit panel. Glenn making the joke that he scheduled a 9:30 in the morning panel for them in the hopes that it would encourage people to be less hungover and to actually get up and do shit during the day. So they started off. The panel in question, let me open this up here real fast. Boop. The panel was NerdFit's Game Theater 3000: The Mountaining. This panel is on Connecticon's YouTube channel. You can see the four of us right in the front row. We're there. And basically what NerdFit did is they hooked up a laptop, and they had some games on the laptop, and they had some Xbox controllers connected. And the intent was that they were going to have some audience members play the video games while the four of them sat in chairs in the front with the shadow heads visible like Mystery Science Theater 3000 and criticized and made fun of the gameplay. This didn't totally work out, primarily because their heads were going to block too much of the projected game. So instead, they put the people playing the game in the front and kept the projector clear. Glenn stayed up at the main table. Kent was sitting on the other side, kind of monitoring the game. And Eric ended up sitting in the audience because one of the first players he called up was there with his mom, and he went over and hung out with the dude's mom, and it was pretty hilarious. And so they started off with a game called, what the hell is it? Shoot, I don't know the names of the game. But there's a very famous internet game out there right now where you have to use a pickaxe to try to climb over stuff and climb a mountain. And they started off with that game. And it was pretty funny. And they had a couple people try that as a test to make sure the equipment was running. And then they switched to another game. Let me see here. Hang on. Not that. Not that. I'm in the wrong tab. Not that. What is it? I don't want that. Sorry, I don't remember the name of the game. I'm trying to find it for you real quick so I have the actual name of the game. It's not Mountain Climb. What is it? Something. And getting over it. Because you have to get over all the obstacles, and you're a guy in a pot with nothing but a pickaxe to move yourself over it. It's a challenge. So they tried it with that. And then they switched to another game. Which involved a series of small animals trying to complete a task. It's called Ultimate Chicken Horse. And effectively, the idea is that players play as a chicken, a horse, a squirrel, or I believe it's a raccoon. And they basically have to play try to get from one end of a part of a map to another point on a map. But they all get a chance to place traps each time. And as you complete it, you get points. And if somebody hits your trap and dies, you get points. It's really crazy. But they had people play that, and they made fun of them the whole time. And it was a really enjoyable panel. Which the NerdFit guys are always very enjoyable. I encourage you to check them out. They have a Twitch channel. They stream 3 times a week on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You can follow them on social medias at NerdFit on Twitter. Eric runs that. You can check that out. They have a Discord server which you can hang out on. So check that out. Lots of good things. So, following this panel, they finished up, they cleared out, and the next panel was the Power Rangers, as mentioned, the Space Rangers, Chris Kamen Lee, and Justin Nimmo. These dudes. So, that panel was very enjoyable because I'm a big Power Ranger fan, so I really like that. Justin Nimmo got there first. It did not have a staff accompaniment with him. So he was kind of a little flummoxed as to how to start, but he basically just started talking about how he got into acting a little bit after taking the first question. And he basically talked a little bit for about 10 or 15 minutes until Chris Kamen Lee arrived. Then they really kicked the panel off. Chris Kamen Lee has no filter and gives no shit, and it's awesome. So they talked a lot about how they got hired on the show, it purportedly being the last season at the time until it got saved by high ratings. How much Chris Kamen Lee, who played Andros, hated that crossover with the Ninja Turtles. Don't bring it up if you ever meet him. He hates it. They talked about, Andros talked a little about Forever Red when he came back and how that went down. He talked a little bit about watching the Sentai, the Super Sentai Japanese original series that Power Rangers in Space is based on, that being Mega Ranger, and how awesome he thought that was. Talked about working with the stunt guys and how he would get, beat up a lot. And it was just a really enjoyable panel, learning a lot of behind-the-scenes facts and details about the show. So that was pretty cool. So the Power Rangers did their thing. That panel is also on Connecticon's YouTube channel. You can again see us right in the front row. And following that panel they cleared out, we still stayed in Phoenix Room. As Melissa mentioned, there was a question about room clearing. There was not. We got to be front row for DD Magno Hall, Pearl. And that room almost filled for her. There was a lot of Steven Universe fans at the con, which makes sense because last year, the voice actors for Amethyst and Peridot were there. Unfortunately, Stacy hadn't yet made us watch the show, so we weren't fans yet. But it was cool that Pearl was there and we got to meet her. And her panel was really enjoyable. She did take a video of us singing the theme song near the end. So she said she was going to put it on her YouTube channel. I hope she does. It's DD Magno Hall. If you want to go subscribe, you might find a video from our con panel on there at some point in time. Very cool. So her panel went off great. She answered a lot of questions about the voice acting industry, about how much the show meant to people. People asked some questions about where the show was going forward and how things were going to happen. And she couldn't reveal a lot of details on that stuff, but talked about recording with the other actors, how much fun it was, how good a friend she is with them, how much the show has touched people and touched her. Just a really, really enjoyable panel. Unfortunately, that panel did not get recorded or put on the Connecticon YouTube channel, but there may be some clips of it out there somewhere unofficially, so certainly check that out. Following this, we did break from the room and went back to the dealer's room. And we made sure to get Cameron a birthday gift. Cameron's birthday is in the beginning of July. It's July 7th, I believe. And so traditionally each year I will give him a little certificate in his card that says I will buy him a gift at Connecticon. Because it's just easier. That way he can pick out something he enjoys, and it's a special thing that we do at Connecticon, and I give him the gift. So we got him a copy of the card game Exploding Kittens, which is a lot of fun if you haven't played it. So we'll be playing that at some point. And after we did this, they decided they wanted to go do karaoke together. As mentioned, they did A Whole New World. And Stacy and I stayed downstairs. So I got in line to get an autograph from Dee Dee Magno Hall for Pearl when she came back, because I was the one who had not gotten one at this point. And Stacy went around to go look to see if anybody was selling a nice little pouch that she could buy to hold some things. They were not. So I got this awesome autograph from Dee Dee Magno Hall, of course. It says, "Stay strong in the real way." I'm pretty sure that's one of the songs for Steven Universe, but I have to verify. But she signed it, said Pearl. It's awesome. I got this one. I was originally going to get a different one, which is a shot of Pearl crying and Steven hugging her from behind, but which is from a very particularly emotional episode. But that one didn't have a picture of the actual voice actors on it, and I kind of like that when I get autographs. That's why I went for the one on this. Like, this one has him and the other forms, and this one was just him, and it's him giving the finger, and I thought that was awesome. So we definitely got these autographs, and that was great. So I got her autograph. Although right before that, I'll mention this real quick. We have a friend named Clarissa. I mentioned her earlier. She gave me that awesome went to Anime Next and brought me back that awesome Assassination Classroom lanyard. Well, as was mentioned earlier, a lot of the voice actors from Sailor Moon were at the con. So she is a massive, massive Sailor Moon fan. It is to her what Power Rangers is to me. So I made sure to go out of my way to get her an autograph from Sailor Moon herself, Linda Ballantine. So very cool. I went and did that quickly because Linda Ballantine was only signing until 2 o'clock because there was a panel she was on after that. So I made sure to grab her before I waited in Pearl's line. Now, had I not done that, I would have been the first one in Pearl's line. But because I decided to go, I made sure to go do this first. I had to wait a little longer in the line, which was worth it because, I mean, autograph for a friend, definitely always worthwhile. The only side of that was, of course, because I was in Pearl's line so long, the final Nerd Fit panel that I had wanted to go to was halfway done by the time I got out of Pearl's line. So I'm like, we'll just have to skip that one. And I think the others were all pretty much done with the con at that point, too. Kim and Melissa did take a moment after karaoke to go over and see Doug Walker at the Channel Awesome booth. They got their Connecticon badges signed by everybody and took a picture. Interestingly, they normally don't charge for pictures, but this year they were, but the money was going to a charity to stop child abuse, so that's cool. So they were just going to donate, but given they were given money anyway, they figured they might as well get the picture, so they did. So that's cool. So they did that. The four of us rendezvoused, and we went over to the Blind Pig once again for lunch before leaving, which is sort of the Sunday Blind Pig before leaving is kind of a thing now because we did that last year too. I believe last year, was it last year that we did that? Because Blind Pig had only opened like a week or two before last year's Connecticon. It's owned by the people that own Bear Smokehouse, and as I mentioned earlier, and it's a great restaurant. I think last year we did Blind Pig before leaving. I feel like that also happened last year. We did Blind Pig and then went home. Whereas the first year we did Ten's Montana Grill and then went home, if my memory serves me. Either way, Blind Pig was excellent. Again, as mentioned, I had regular. I'm not big on fancy pizzas. I don't really do that, so I just had a regular pizza. But the best part here was that we followed up. They actually have for dessert at Blind Pig, and if you go there, get this. It's $5, but it's worth every penny. Giant cookie ice cream sandwich. It's two, like that big chocolate chip cookies or sugar cookies. They have both. They're big. And they put a big old chunk of ice cream, vanilla or chocolate, your choice, in between. And then they serve it on a tray with some powdered sugar on top, and a little bit of what's actually a raspberry dipping sauce that was sprinkled on a tray and then in a little cup. That was actually pretty good. And the cookies were soft and delicious. The ice cream was good. It was an amazing dessert. If you go to Blind Pig and you're having their amazing pizza, get a cookie dessert. It's so good. I want one right now. I'm just thinking about it. It's so good. Get one. All right. So we enjoyed our Blind Pig lunch again. We popped back into the hotel for just a couple of minutes so we could all use the restroom before leaving. And then we piled in the car and we headed home and ended our Connecticon weekend. So, what did I think of it? It was an amazing weekend and one that I really needed. I started a new job back in May, so I've been having a lot of stress from that. I've been having, stress from that plus working my previous jobs in much lower capacity. So a lot of stress dealing with all that stuff, getting things sorted out with a new job like insurance and things. The world generally just kind of sucks right now. So I really needed a weekend away from everything, and it really helped me recharge and feel a lot better about everything that was going on. So that's good. And it was just, I really enjoyed the weekend. The panels were great. The Nerd Fit guys are always great. Channel Awesome was there, and they do good entertainment, even if I disagree with their business policies. They had great guests this year. They did a big focus on voice acting. Panels for Nolan North and Troy Baker are both available on the Connecticon YouTube channel, as are several others. So definitely check those out. Certainly, if you have an opportunity, it's 3 days and it's affordable. If you buy an early bird ticket to Connecticon, it's only $50 for the pass, and that gets you the entire weekend. You can pick up the badge on Thursday and do the special Thursday night events. You get all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday for the price. It's worth it. The hotel rooms at the Marriott are affordable, or there's a Holiday Inn and several other hotels within easy shuttle distance. It works. It's a great con to go to, even though they have had problems in years past. The lanyards not being there, bracelets not being there. A lot of people have had concerns about the way the event is booked in terms of a feeling that there was too much of a tabletop gaming push, because that is what the owner of Connecticon is into. But I don't think that at all. I think between the guests and them, I think they have a really good variety of a lot of panels. I'm going to try to get a panel put in next year. I wanted to do a 25th anniversary of Power Rangers panel this year. But given how many people came to the actual Ranger Actors panel, I feel like I might not have gotten that many people anyway. I'm considering between that or the now infamous top 20 deleted Disney songs. For those that don't know, Geoff and I compiled a list of the top 20 deleted Disney songs several years ago, but we never made the video because we wanted to play the songs and didn't want to get struck into oblivion. So that video was never made, but I think if I did it as a panel, it would be really cool. So I might try to do that next year also. But yes, Connecticon definitely gets 2 thumbs up from me. It's really enjoyable. If you like cosplay, if you like hanging out with friends, if you like seeing some cool guests, seeing really cool fan stuff like Calligraphy do an avatar dance, or going to fan panels about Star Trek and Overwatch, or, doing launching major tabletop gaming campaigns in the gaming room. Whatever you enjoy doing, you'll find something to enjoy in Connecticon. It's a worthwhile con, even though it has had problems in years past. So I guess Geoff never made it, but that's all right. It happens. Again, I greatly thank Melissa for being here to help with my memory and make sure that we really went over and had a good discussion of events. I'm sorry Cam couldn't join us. And again, I thought Geoff was going to be here to hear about it, but he can watch this video and he can leave his thoughts in the comments. And so can you, by the way. What you think of if you were at Connecticon, let us know what you thought in the comments. If you're thinking about going to Connecticon based on our review, let us know what you think. Maybe we'll run into you next year. But with that, I'm going to bring this to a close. We've been going for quite a while here. It's been several hours. So overall, Connecticon tickets for next year's Connecticon are on sale. They are early bird. If you buy them before January, it is $50, and you will be notified around January when the hotel bookings become available, so you can get first dibs. Definitely check those out. If you were at Connecticon and you're unaware, in the back of your Connecticon book, there is a code for 30% off Connecticon attendance next year for the first 500 people. So definitely use that and get in on that. So overall, there's just a lot of great stuff at Connecticon. It's enjoyable, and people should check it out if they get the opportunity. Lots of great guests, lots of great fun. Check out the panels over on Connecticon's YouTube channel. You can get just a portion of the feel of the great stuff that everybody got to enjoy at Connecticon. And check her out online, because if you throw in Connecticon into Google, you'll find people with pictures of all the great cosplays and things too. There were a lot of amazing cosplays this year, as there are every year. I want to cosplay one of these years. I got to get off my ass and actually make a fucking cosplay. But with that, this has been Connecticon. I'm already looking forward to next year. Stay tuned for next month, however, in August, when we will be doing a review, myself, hopefully Cam, and definitely Geoff. We'll be reviewing Power Morphicon. We're going for the first time ever. It's Power Morphicon 6. It's the 20th anniversary of Power Rangers. Stay tuned for that review next month. We're gonna be attending that from August 16th through 19th. I will be coming home on the 19th, and we'll probably be reviewing it sometime that week, the week of the 19th. So definitely stay tuned for our review of that. And also do stay tuned tomorrow night, because of course we do, because we're doing this tonight, the other video did not happen. We will be reviewing Extreme Rules and scoring that for the fantasy log. We will also be doing the news tomorrow or Saturday, somewhere in there. And Saturday night will be the usual weekly shenanigans. So stay tuned for all of that with Geoff and Tiff and me. Thanks for joining me here on the league. Check out Connecticon and everybody that makes it special. And a thank you to all the staff and volunteers, because the ones that care really do bust their ass to make this con a success. So thank you for that. We'll see you next time, folks. I'm James Phoenix. Peace.